Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
How do you do this from here? Haven't been in the studio in forever. Here we are.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see it. Good to be here. Working from home is easy, you know.
I bet. Pretty convenient, isn't it?
It is convenient. It's not like you get the day off, though. You know, there's this. I think I talked about this with our bosses a couple weeks ago, not in radio, but in TV. There's this like barrier that when somebody tells you, and this happens at our department too, it's like, yeah, I'm going to work from home today. It's like, yeah, right, whatever, right? That's what you say. I'm going to work from home today. But actually, I think you get a ton done from home. I like the working from home. And I think I might have said this during one of the shows, but when we're doing news hits for TV, it is so much easier from home and can be quicker. Like I can drop out of the radio show for 3 or 4 minutes, do my radio hit that takes 90 seconds. I'm sorry, my TV hit takes 90 seconds, and then bam.
Sure.
Right back here on the airwaves.
Yeah.
So, otherwise I got to go down there, get changed, get mic'd up. I mean, I'm out of shape,
Minutes out of his day to do that, ladies and
I'd rather
gentlemen.
be here.
Minutes out of his day to go downstairs, to get dressed. Yeah, man, it's a sad state of affairs. I'm sorry that you have to come back to the studio now and do the show from here.
I like coming back to the studio, though. But
we love to have you.
It had been a while.
And we love to have you.
No
here.
doubt. So one of the reasons I stayed out last week is because I had the first week I was in quarantine.
Sure.
And then last week I had like a bout here or there with the sinus stuff.
Okay.
And so I just don't, around here, you don't want to be sneezing all over everything, right?
Well, here comes the big question. Have you been tested?
Yeah, well, actually, I'd already been tested.
Okay.
Okay, so I knew I didn't have it. And then, But I still don't think sneezing and sniffling around everything, it's kind of what we're trying to avoid, right?
Yeah.
And then I had to get tested again today.
Okay, good.
Because I have UNF duties this weekend.
Doing some play-by-play.
Doing play-by-play. They're finally coming back home. And so you have to get a PCR test. And so I did that. Well, then, of course, everything gets ruffled up there, right, every time they do a test. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be sneezing anyway.
Awesome.
In fact, I walked in and sneezed, right, Coos?
Oh, off to a good start.
Almost immediately.
Yeah, almost immediately.
I like
so there
it.
you go. So that's where we're at. Hey, took the day yesterday, so it was a little longer of a weekend. NFL playoffs, obviously a big deal. We continue to follow the Jags coaching searches and putting together this team. I think it's fun to see the rumors and reports. I also I have a hard time locking in because they feel like just rumors, reports, and acquaintances, and everybody has some. I mean, this staff might be like 70 deep.
Yeah.
For Urban Meyer, if we take into account every single thing that people have said. Although it does look like now Raheem Morris, who was a serious candidate by all reports, and also interviewed for the head coaching position here in Jacksonville, is going to go to the Rams, which makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, if you could come here to Jacksonville and help rebuild a defense, or you could go to the Rams and take over for Staley there and have that defense, which was the number one in the league, probably a pretty good situation.
Let's be honest here. We talk about all the time in terms of, how good a situation is. And for the head coach, the Jacksonville job probably is the best situation. For the GM, the best situation. From a defensive coordinator's perspective, okay, bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, if you will, right? Because there's a lot of things that have to be changed.
You have the most points
here.
in the league.
Exactly. And if you look at the LA Rams, you got Jalen Ramsey, you have Aaron Donald. Those are two, let's be honest, at their position, probably two of the best players, if the best players in the NFL at their position. So it makes things a lot easier to be a coordinator for the Rams than it does for the Jaguars.
Absolutely. So it makes sense. Like if I had to pick and I had my chance, I'd go to the Rams too. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
What about the offensive side though? Because and we'll talk more defensive side. Whether it's Sutton, who you know very well,
I know Sutton.
Joe Cullen, you know very well. I'm all for those guys that you know very well. By the way, not because maybe they come on the show, but really because you know the ins and outs and what it's all about. So as we talk about this, it'll be interesting to see what kind of defenses guys like that will have. Again, those are just some of the rumors. I will be perfectly honest with you. I do not know some of the coaches that have landed here. I'm not in that loop right now of, hey, they're hiring this guy. It's more, let's see who gets replaced on the website and who gets introduced. But if you take it from an offensive coordinator position, how enticing is this job versus maybe some of the other ones out there?
From a defensive coordinator position, listen.
Offense.
Oh, I'm sorry, from offensive. Okay. From an offensive spot, they're enticing, right? Because you have the trump card. You have the number 1 pick in the draft being Trevor Lawrence, more than likely, to try to groom, obviously, and come up with your offense. So anytime you have a young quarterback like that you can kind of take underneath your wing a little bit, implement your offense, that's huge. And let's be honest, like, it's all about that situation when the quarterback comes in, right? Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Let's be honest. When you got guys like DJ Chark, when you got guys like Laviska Shenault, James Robinson, a pretty suitable offensive line, you have a lot of pieces to be successful on offense right away, and most importantly, help out Trevor Lawrence. So if you're an offensive coordinator right now, I would be chomping at the bit if I'm that desperate to get an offensive coordinator gig here in Jacksonville.
And obviously, we've heard the Scott Linehan name. We talked about him, I think, last Friday. Anthony Lynn has been a name thrown around a little bit as well. That would interest me. And again, heavy head coaching experience, knows the NFL game. That's important, too. So you're looking for a staff that can balance some of that. The only knock I would say against being an offensive coordinator here in Jacksonville would be, is it going to be mine? Or is it going to be Urban Meyer's? Because Urban Meyer, at the root of it, he's a culture builder, the CEO, but he is an offensive mind. And he doesn't call the plays necessarily, but he's an offensive mind. So that guy's going to have a little bit, you're going to be under that umbrella, essentially, of Urban Meyer, which could be fun. I'm just saying, does that detract from it at all if it's not yours? It's mine alone.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. In any kind of coaching gig, usually you have to work together. So in Urban Meyer's defense, yes, it's going to be his offense, but it won't be the same offense that he ran in college just because it's not going to work here, So that's where the coordinator comes in, can offer his input. And obviously if that coordinator has NFL experience, even better. So while you're coming to Jacksonville and you may not get full reign of the offense, you're going to get a good bulk of it, obviously working with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, and then the other big thing, which, by the way, got very quiet. It was something we talked about in December a lot because everybody thought they would hire a GM then a head coach. Well, guess what? They still have to hire a GM.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen soon. I would suspect very soon because all we have to do is point back to Shad Khan. And he said, let's see, when did we talk to Shad Khan? Friday, that he expects something in the next week. Well, here we are. We've got about 3 days left in the week. And so I think, I don't know if imminent is the right word, but around the corner in the GM search, get ready, I would say, when it comes to the GM. And who will that be? And we've heard all sorts of names, right? Trent Baalke is already in there in the building. Is that the match that people have made with Urban Meyer? Is Scott Pioli, a name has been thrown around a little bit. Does that make some sense? How about any of the interviews that they've already had? The Rick Smiths of the world, who has yet to be hired. Fontenot is a guy that looked interested and thought there may be a match with Meyer, but then he gets hired by the Atlanta Falcons. So where they land with this, honestly, I don't have a good feel. I still am a little hesitant to say Baalke. I don't think it's as easy as that. But this will be a big-time hire for the Jacksonville Jaguars, a guy that will have to help Urban Meyer in the personnel part of things, show him more than just picking players, salary cap, trading players, all the rest that goes into that position that really a lot of people don't talk about. It's a massive hire, much like the rest of them for Urban Meyer.
Do you get the sense now among the fan base and even amongst us right now, I think if they were to retain Baalke and elevate him to a new role, that could rub some people the wrong way because they already know who he is, right? He had his run in San Francisco. He kind of had a falling out with, it would have been Chip Kelly. He had a falling out with Jim Harbaugh. So, there is history there, right? And obviously he's got his draft resume as well that he's done. But anybody else, do you get the sense that it's, say, that they get somebody else or whatever, it's not going to be Baalke. It's just kind of all right, cool. Sounds good. Urban Meyer, we trust you. That's to the point where I feel like we're at right now. While we were talking about a head coach a couple weeks ago, and it was all systems go on that. And there's, is it going to be Urban Meyer? Could it be Bieniemy? How come they're not interviewing Dabble? It was all these kind of things. And then all of a sudden, Urban Meyer gets it. There's a celebration, and now it's kind of quiet again. But nobody is talking about the general manager position. And let's be honest, it's a very important position in the sport of football. Do you just feel like people think now, Urban, you got this under control, man, put it in cruise control and bring us home, or what?
Well, I do think there is, and I'll be honest with you, I think I feel this way a little bit, that, listen, they got a big fish that they wanted. And I know, and I believe, and I've heard that, and Shad Khan said it, and Urban Meyer basically said, he's running the show. And so I feel like the GM is super important part of the puzzle piece, but I feel from our point of view, we still think Urban Meyer's running the show. The guy that's going to make the decision from what's being served at lunch to what players are going to be picked with heavy influence, okay? He's not necessarily cooking the food at lunch, but he's going to say what ingredients he wants. Okay?
Yeah.
And if it's not right, he's going to say, I want this the next day instead.
It's going to be the best ingredients, Brent. The best ingredients.
So I do think he has that much influence in the building. That's the way I view this. I view this as a gutting of the Jags headquarters. I really do. And Urban Meyer's fingerprints all over everything. So because of that, I don't know if trust is the word. I just feel like I know that's the case. So whoever he brings on, he obviously believes he can work with in that way. So I guess I do sense, okay, Urban, if you think so, good for me. The other reason why I don't think everybody is like, oh, well, if he picks this guy. In fact, I do think the reaction, when it happens, will be a little bit like, oh, man. You know why? Because all of the people that are available are people that have failed in the role.
Sure.
Because that's why they're available. From Rick Smith to whatever happens, even though his resume looks pretty good with J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson and guys like that, to Ray Farmer in Cleveland, who's been linked to it, to Trent Baalke, who's been linked to it, is in the building. Any of those guys that are linked to it feels like, okay, well, they failed. They're available for a reason. So everybody's going to come with a little bit of, is that the right call?
But that baggage, that failure to succeed, they're all made up of different components. Like when we talk about Baalke, like, listen, I know his draft history and so be it. Like there's a lot of bad draft histories out there and people still have jobs. But like the thing with Baalke is, can he get along with Urban Meyer? Like that's the big question to me.
Me too.
Because history has showed us in the past when he was the GM, him and his coaches didn't see eye to eye. And that's the last thing you need on a team that is stressing communication and being on the same page.
Yeah, and I think I actually think he picked a lot of good players along the way, too.
Sure.
He did. Did he keep them? Did he pick enough? No, you never pick enough or you'd still have the job.
Well,
but I do agree with you, and we've talked about this. I don't know Trent Baalke. So I don't want to slander the guy. I don't know whose fault it was, but things fell apart when he was the GM. Is that his fault? Is he tough to get along with? I don't know. And listen, I don't think anybody who's been around Urban Meyer, I don't think he's like the easiest guy to get along with. He demands excellence. When you demand excellence, that doesn't make it an easy day every day.
Well, that's
But obviously, if Meyer is going to pick somebody, he's going to pick somebody he feels like he's compatible with. Because that is important. And I would hope Shad Khan stressed that. I would hope Urban Meyer already knows that in this profession, like, you don't have to necessarily get along, I guess, with your recruiting coordinator in college or whatever it might be, but you better be able to go hand in hand and be on the same page with your GM. I think that's a proven fact in the NFL. And again, I go back to Seattle. Pete Carroll did a great job picking Schneider, and Schneider's still there, and he's signed to 2027. If Urban Meyer can hit a home run with whoever he selects, whether we all like it or not, well, that's a good omen for the future.
Well, and you saw Detroit try to poach, the GM from Seattle away too, because Detroit was trying to go after him. That might have been my idea.
True.
Yeah,
that was one of the things you contributed.
That was one of my ideas. Don't worry about that. I'll talk about those ideas later. But that's a great point. And then you have a situation we've brought up before on this show with John Dorsey and Andy Reid. John Dorsey's track record in terms of drafting, chef's kiss. But John Dorsey, in terms of maybe getting along with his with head coach, well, him and Andy Reid kind of had a falling out. Then John Dorsey goes to Cleveland, has some pretty good transactions there, gets Jarvis Landry, drafts Baker Mayfield, but obviously there's miscommunication there as well from the head coaching standpoint.
Yeah.
So you can have a good resume, but if you don't have the communication skills, it is what it is.
Here's what's interesting, okay? Go back to some of the names. You mentioned Dorsey. See, I would say, okay, I don't want Dorsey anymore. You know why I don't want Dorsey anymore? He's so good at picking quarterbacks, especially. Well, I know who they're picking.
He's going to outsmart himself?
Well, no, but I know who they're picking.
Yeah, but all of a sudden he's like, this Trey Lance kid, I'll tell you what. Yeah.
Remember when we said, hey, bring Dorsey in, pay him like $3 million just to pick the quarterback? That's when the Jags were picking the number 2 spot.
We're all set now.
Now we're good, right?
Yeah.
We don't need, I can pick the quarterback. I'll run that up, all right? We don't need that. But if you look at some of the other folks, like Rick Smith, of course, again, I think this is one that the fans would like. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying, I think if I read Jags Twitter right, if I'm polling out there, I think Rick Smith is someone they could get on board with. Jerry Reese doesn't do much for me getting back into it. Louis Riddick, I would think is with all due respect to Louis Riddick, I think here's the problem with a guy like Louis Riddick. he hasn't been in the game since 2013 in that kind of capacity, in terms of being in a building. Well, we've got a guy here as a head coach who many people believe the biggest hurdle is how to adapt to the NFL. I don't know if I want to bring a guy in he's going to work hand in hand with that hasn't been in the NFL in this role since 2013. Well, that's illogical, in my opinion, in terms of the Riddick front.
Yeah, I hear you.
If we're eliminating guys.
No, and I understand where you're coming from. And you have to ask the question, well, he hasn't been in a locker room, but he's covered it thoroughly and extensively for the past couple of years, Louis Riddick. So, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know how much you have to be around the players in that locker room and how much you can cover it from a distance. Is there a difference in that? Is it a drastic difference? That I can't answer. But I'm just saying, just because Louis Riddick wasn't in the locker room doesn't mean that he doesn't understand the inner workings of how a team works, because he's been covering it pretty thoroughly.
What would you think of Pioli? Speaking of a guy who hasn't been in it in a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, he obviously had the run with the Patriots, and then with Kansas City, it didn't sustain success because they really just didn't pick mostly the right coaches. They actually did pick some players. I'll go back to, remember that 2-14 year that we talk about with Kansas City? Yeah. They had 6 Pro Bowlers on that roster in the 2-14 year. So they had some pretty nice players before Andy Reid and Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes to build this thing up.
Well, and keep in mind, Scott Pioli is a former Murray State guy. He was the offensive line coach back in the 90s. Really? So you know how I feel about that, Brent.
I did not realize that.
Yeah,
how about
fact.
That?
But listen, another guy.
I've been finding some Murray State guys, by the way, because I'm putting some requests in, and I think it was Ohio State that I looked into their sports information department, and the gentleman that I emailed a request to for something was a Murray State grad, I think.
Huh.
And so I dropped your name.
Yeah, well, I'm sure
that helped.
I'm sure you'll get a phone call within an hour.
I said Murray State legend. I don't know if that oversold it or not.
No, I mean, careful, because there's John Morant too. So be careful how you throw out legends.
I did put John Morant's buddy.
Okay, there we go. Because one guy was the first round pick of the NBA draft. One guy, as you put it, was in the crapshoot of the 5th round of the NFL draft. So take that how you want.
That's a good point. Take that how you want.
With Scott Pioli, though, intriguing for sure. Has been with a couple of teams. I think his last year was 2019 in Atlanta. So he is still pretty current to the situation. I think he was assistant GM with the Atlanta Falcons. That's a name that's intriguing to me. I think him, I'll be honest with Louis Riddick. I like Louis Riddick a lot. I think he's a great communicator. But to me, that's kind of like the big name of this group. He's the well-known name.
Yeah.
And when you got Trevor Lawrence coming in, and when you got Urban Meyer coming in, if you got these slew of coaches, what we think are going to be coming in here, it might be too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of all eyes on this person, right? So I might want a little more lower key type of guy, all due respect to Louis Riddick. And I think Scott Pioli could be that guy.
I haven't done the approval ratings like I did with the head coaches, but I think if I did the approval ratings, I seriously believe Rick Smith would win. Outside of that, I don't know if anybody there'd be a lot of approval.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, listen, Ray Farmer's name's been mentioned. That is not going to win people over by saying Ray Farmer's our guy. A GM has been, in the fans' mind, a big issue over the last 15 years. And performance-wise, I think speaks to that, I still maintain Dave Caldwell had a lot of good players around here. They just couldn't figure it out, match it up, get the quarterback right, all those things. I think we saw more good players come through here during Dave Caldwell's tenure than maybe the previous 8 years, the end of Shaq Harris, and then, of course, Gene Smith. And part of that, look at all the guys playing in the playoffs.
Sure.
They're on other teams. I get it, but look at all the guys playing in the playoffs.
It is legit. Now, they're not as good as radio as some of Gene Smith's tricks, but
Gene Smith did
as far as football players,
gurus.
he found some radio studs, man. Some radio studs, if you will.
That's a good point.
So be thankful.
Gene probably doesn't even know how good a job he did that way.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. Hey, you know what, Brent? I don't think he cares.
Yeah, he should, though. He should get credit for it.
It's all good.
All right, let's take a break. We come back. We get into more of the Urban Meyer front on the coaching. What are they going to be? What's he trying to figure out? Where do you start? I asked this question to somebody. I said, if you're Urban Meyer and you're about to really just flush the whole darn thing, where do you start? How does that go? And obviously, we know kind of where it starts. It's with the staff. But once that happens, then what? Right? So, what's the order of business? And by the way, my understanding was he'd been in that building quite a bit.
Yeah.
over the last, since he was introduced, let's just say that.
I like it.
So the work is being done.
I like it.
No surprise there. He's all in.
Yeah.
Really did feel like that, too, from the news conference Friday. He's all in.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't just, hey, let's see if this works. He's all in.
For sure.
And then that's the kind of job you better be all in. So we go there a little bit. Randy Moss.
You gonna get him, Brett?
Randy.
You going to get him?
We put in a request for Randy, but apparently he doesn't respond to requests is what I've been told. So
He didn't want to come on the show today?
yeah, he's a run and hide guy.
You said that, not me.
Let's just bring him on to Duval, man.
I
Come
got
on down
some
to
thoughts.
Duval, Randy. I like Randy Moss, but what is he talking about? What is he doing?
He's not going to come on an ESPN-sponsored show. You think he's going to come down to Jacksonville and hang out with us while we take him around the city?
Let's do it.
You think he's going to do that? He
Well,
won't even call in the show.
He used to go to Daytona. He owned a truck.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Huh.
In the trucks race.
Huh.
How about that?
Well, he is from West Virginia, right?
Yeah, so he's been around.
Yeah, or Virginia, whatever, one of those two.
NFL playoffs, Hall of Fame vote today. Where the heck did that come from? What's the latest on
today?
it? It's today.
Did you send your vote in?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
Tony Boselli talk, of course, as well. We'll get to all of it on a Tuesday. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Nice today under mostly sunny skies. The afternoon high 60 to 65. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 at Fox 30. Action News Jacks from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm TV meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where you get the lowest diamond price guaranteed or your money back.
For the ones standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope, and you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talon Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talon Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000. Or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
After a long day, having my dogs greet me at the door with their silly smiles and wagging tails makes me happy. I want to keep that joy with me for years to come. That's why I trust Forever Vets Animal Hospital to keep my pets healthy. Forever Vets was voted 2019's Best Vet in Jacksonville Magazine's Readers Poll, and it's easy to see why. The affordable wellness plans are tailored to meet all of your pet's changing needs as they grow. Open 7 days a week, Forever Vets friendly staff is available to treat you and your pet with care. They combine extended hours with online booking to allow you to give your pet quality care while accommodating your schedule. Go online to forevervets.com to find which of their 9 locations is nearest you. And don't forget their newest location in Bartram Market. Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets happy and healthy forever.
This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station. I'm Marshall. I'm a volunteer with the Florida Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Now more than ever during the pandemic, Florida long-term care residents deserve the best care and quality of life. I invite you to join me and hundreds of others in advocating on behalf of people who can't speak for themselves. Visit ombudsman.myflorida.com to join us today.
No matter what you are driving, you can step up to luxury now at any of the Fields Auto Group dealerships in Jacksonville. Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. So whatever you're driving, see Fields first and step up to luxury for less during this amazing opportunity. Visit fieldsauto.com.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade for Phil Aiken Home Team Keller Williams Realty. I'm talking with Greg and Gary about their recent home sale. Why did you call Phil Aiken?
We called Phil Aiken because we had heard that his team will sell your house quickly and for more money than any of the other realtors in town.
Tell us what happened.
Phil Aiken and his A team, they will make the process very easy. Sold in 4 days and got over asking price.
Well, that's great. So how did you think they were able to sell it so fast?
Because Phil has the buyers and they have the team that can get the job done quickly and stress-free.
What would you tell a friend who is looking for a real estate agent to sell their home?
Would I recommend Phil Aiken and the A team? Absolutely.
Well, the results speak for themselves, right? Phil Aiken and his team have the systems and will even guarantee to sell your home in writing or buy it himself.
Yes, we got better results than we expected.
Thanks, Gary. Friends, hire the agent with the buyers looking to buy a home right now. Call Phil Aiken. Call 500-PHIL. That's 500-PHIL, or visit philhasthebuyers.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Hope you catch the show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. But if you can't catch it, or if you want to go back and listen again, check out the Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 podcast. Just search ESPN 690 in your podcast app.
Austin Lane.
And I'm going to regurgitate it to you. I'm like a mother bird right now, and I'm spewing it in your mouth.
Brent Martineau.
You got doves flying and mother birds all week.
I'm trying to baby bird you right now, man.
Yeah, well, this is why I tease stuff and don't get to it.
Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
I think it's going to work out well for the Jaguars. You know, I had the chance to spend almost a full week with Urban out at Ohio State in 2013 when I was out of work after being fired from the Chiefs. And I stayed out there, and I was able to sit in coaches' meetings, player meetings, individual group meetings, and recruiting meetings. I saw how Urban ran his organization. That wasn't a college football program. It was an organization. Urban is detailed, he's passionate, and he is relentless. He is going to bring all of that same energy to the Jacksonville Jaguars. All he has to do is make sure that he gets the players that fit not only the schemes he intends to run on offense and defense, but they need players that are going to fit Urban's personality. Urban is high energy, he's detailed, he's highly, highly intelligent. It should be a bright future for the Jacksonville Jaguars as well.
Well, that's encouraging. Could that be the future Jaguars general manager?
Yeah.
Scott Pioli. Coos, nice work finding the sound there.
Scott Pioli dropping that beat, too.
Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
So I spent some time when he got fired by the Chiefs with Urban Meyer and saw him up close, and obviously has a respect for Meyer, right? I mean, one thing is, we'll talk about this later on, okay, when we talk about the Randy Moss stuff, but there's this barrier in this NFL fraternity, like, you're not good enough to be up here. And that's why it's a friends league a lot of times, right? That's why it's a buddy system.
Correct.
But so to hear Scott Pioli, who's been around the NFL for 2 decades, really, and probably even longer, say that, I think is probably shows you the affinity he has. And if he has that affinity, would he like to work with him? Would he like to work in this situation where you have a young football team, you can carve it the way you want, you have a Trevor Lawrence, you have $100 million, $80 million, whatever people say, you have 11 draft picks. Again, if you're going to get back in, you know, we said defensive coordinator, this might not be a great job from an eye test. Offense coordinator, pretty good. Pretty good, right? I mean, it's not freaking Tom Brady you have, and to go along with Antonio Brown and Mike Evans, but it's pretty good. It's not Kansas City's offense, but so it's pretty good. And then the head coaching job was very good, and the GM job you would think would be very good. If you want to be a GM, this is a very good gig.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, listen, like Scott Pioli, he said something important. Like, he understands Urban Meyer because you just said it yourself. I mean, it's like, and I always call it the good old boy network, kind of like I allow the SEC a little bit in college football, but it's about who you know. And I think if you have a GM who sees what you've done, who understands what your mindset is, that's an advantage. And since this is the good old boy network, Scott, if you get the job, once again, there's a Murray State guy here in Jacksonville that talks on the radio from 3 to 6, so I'm going to be busy during then. But if you need some kind of consulting, if you need some kind of MMA, NFL transitioning technique, something like that, I'm your guy. Scott, give me a call.
Well, and not only that, you just missed him in Kansas City then.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Who was the GM in Kansas City when you got over there?
That was Dorsey.
Oh, that's right. So he took over for Pioli.
Correct.
Dorsey took
over. Hey, Austin, can you gain 30 pounds in 2 months? Sure. Okay, great. Click. That was it. That was introduction.
Yeah.
And then I went on an eating spree like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. I did that the last 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, looking good. Playing that 3 technique. Watch out, Taven Bryan. Better watch out.
So the question I have as I considered all this over the weekend, and obviously we know he's building the staff, and we can get into the weeds on the staff, but until they actually hire people on the staff, what do you know? Obviously, unfortunately, we really like Milo, but he looks to be out because they hired a strength coach. And
if he wants another job, though, he's getting another job.
Yeah,
he's
Milo's well respected,
exactly.
and by the way, survived a couple of different changes.
Yeah.
But what the Milo change to me showcased is Milo's good at his job. Milo, by the way, is like strength and conditioning head coach for the Jags.
And real quick, do you know why he's good at his job? Because he's a former player. He understands how it works.
Yeah, but he's also like I've had a lot of conversations with Tom Lazinski over the years and over on flights and stuff, and it's fun to listen to him because he's always being educated about the next thing. You talk about, like we say all the time, be ahead of the curve, man, be ahead of the curve. He's ahead of the curve, and he does some stuff that, he's always seeking for that. And I'm sure a lot of guys do. But I hear him.
You'd be surprised, though, especially in strength and conditioning, where guys come up from a certain system, a certain tree, if you will, and they're hell-bent on doing that tree. So, like, when the new thing comes out, it's like, yeah, that's great, but I'm going to go with what got me here in the first place. Milo was never like that. Like, Milo brings an old-school mentality in terms of his philosophies of weightlifting. Like, where a lot of guys now talk about the air compress. You put weights on the, like on the bar anymore. Milo still believes in the old lifts and things like that, which is, in my opinion, is good. But he also believes in the new school techniques as well.
Yeah. So that's an important hire, though. So if you're going to – what it showed me, what I started to say is that's flushing the building. If you're going to get rid of Milo, and again, everybody's got acquaintances and people they're comfortable with, and obviously this guy from Ohio State, who was actually on radio in Columbus, Ohio, is probably very good at it as well. I mean, we don't know. He's very good at tackling fans that run on the field.
He's got a lot of energy. We know that, and that matches Urban Meyer.
But it's a huge hire, right? Because that strength and conditioning, I laugh and joke a little bit in the college ranks of how excited like Florida fan gets at the hiring of Nick Savage, or how excited Alabama guy gets, or Georgia guy gets, or Texas guy gets at the hiring of the strength coach. But the bottom line is those guys are now getting paid a ton of money because there's such an importance on it. Now, I don't really feel like we need to talk about him every afternoon, but I do think there is a huge importance on that. Is it like that in the NFL? In the strength and condition, like how valuable is that guy in the building?
It's so crucial, Brent, because you think about it, and especially when we're in the off season. If we're in the spring right now, we're talking about OTAs. Like you spend a decent amount of time with the position coach, learning your techniques, sharpening your tools, if you will. But you spend probably even more time with your strength and conditioning coach. And you talk about a guy who's coming in now to a scene where, let's be honest, the first taste that rookies get, and the first taste that a lot of these young guys are going to get with this new regime will be with the strength and conditioning coach. It'll be the off-season workouts. So they're absolutely crucial because they're kind of like, I would say they're like the infantry. They're the first guys in that kind of get Urban Meyer's points across, that get his whole mindset across. Now, let's be honest. Lifting weights is lifting weights. You can do it a lot of ways, but it's still the general same thing. But in terms of how it's conducted, the organization, the intensity of these workouts, that is going to mirror what Urban Meyer is going to bring to the table. So it's an absolutely important position. And obviously, Urban Meyer is bringing a guy who has a lot of energy, who he knows very well.
Yeah, and Anthony Schlegel is his name, and he's obviously knows Meyer well. So he's going to be on board as the strength and conditioning. So the rest of the staff will be built. Let's push that aside for now. What's next? I believe, and I've said this, there is going to be a gutting of Jags headquarters, like across the board. Facilities, we've got into those conversations. We think it's heading in those directions, that there'll be new facilities at some point, whether it's standalone, whether it's just trying to fix some things in the meantime for this year. But no doubt those are part of the conversations. But if you're Urban Meyer, seriously, and you're hired, and you started looking at this thing now for a couple of weeks and maybe even longer, and you said, I know what I'm going to do things, so you probably have a checklist. But what does that checklist show? Like, okay, I got to get my staff. Okay, we got to then go into the personnel department and say, who are we keeping? What are our big areas? So I get it from a football standpoint, but it's deeper than that is my point of this conversation. Yeah. It's, okay, the food, is it right? The weights, do we have enough of them? Are these offices good enough for people to work and sleep in and be here all day? Team meeting rooms. Like, how far down to the studs is Urban Meyer going to take this thing to the point where I feel like, and I have some great friends in that building, by the way.
As do I.
I don't know if everybody's safe. Like, I'd be nervous if I was an employee almost if I was at Jags headquarters.
I mean, even we're talking about like the athletic training staff as well. Urban Meyer could come in and clean house with that area, and then they've always been very well respected. And they've been in there for a long time. So
equipment managers,
exactly,
right?
Everybody, yeah. So
and, well, again, we know great people in that organization. We love them.
We do. They've been there for a while.
And by the way, I feel good about this flush in a lot of ways because I think they're going to turn the corner here, and I hope they're part of it. Many of them,
exactly.
But you just never know. So
you never know.
So where are they going with it?
Yeah. So obviously, from the staff perspective, Urban Meyer is going to go from top to bottom. He's going to analyze everybody, whether it's the training staff, whether it's the equipment guys, whether it's the cooks in the kitchen. Like, I'm sure he's going to, at least talk to somebody that is like a representative to them, get a feeling for them. Maybe, I'm not sure, like the office workers and things like that. That's more of the business side. But as far as the football side is concerned, he's talking to everybody. And he's doing his due diligence. He's going to see, can we keep these guys on, or do I have my own guys I want to bring in to kind of embody my vision a little more? When that's complete, I think the next most important thing, if not the most important thing we should be talking about, are the coaches, are the coordinators, right? Because, listen, Urban Meyer is a coach, right? And his job is to say, who's going to start next year? What kind of scheme are you going to run? I think he's got an idea, and we've heard rumblings once again from Albert Breer and people of the type of scheme that he wants to run on defense. And I'm sure he's got a good idea on offense as well. But until those coaches get in line, until he has those conversations with those coaches, it's all just hearsay as far as I'm concerned. So once those coordinators, once those, those game plan specialists, whoever you bring in from different teams around the NFL, whoever you bring in, once those coaches are here, then in my opinion, it's time to get to work, because now you know what kind of defense you're going to run, you know what kind of offense you're going to run. And when you know that, then you go back to last year's film. And I'm talking about you nitpick every single play. And usually, at least what I've been told, the way it works, Brent, is you watch the last game of the year, because that's where you find out where guys' heads are at. Because usually, let's be honest, when you won one game all season and you're playing that last game of the season, some guys want to hang it up a little early. Right? Some guys got a foot in the parking lot already. Some guys got a foot in Hawaii getting ready to go on vacation. So I'm not sure the way Urban Meyer runs it, but from my understanding, a lot of coaches will watch the last game first and then go backwards. And they'll evaluate the talent. They'll say, all right, this guy, we can put him in this position right here to succeed, and yada, 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 and so on. And they go from there evaluating the talent. And at the same time, too, keep in mind, Urban Meyer's got to keep in mind of the draft picks coming out now, too, and watch college film as well.
Bottom line, there's a lot to do. A lot to do.
It's a big plate for Urban Meyer.
But keep in mind, that's, I think I like that from the college guy. The college guy is a program builder, a culture builder, but he does everything. Now, he's got a lot of staff to help, but he is involved in everything. And the other part, and we talked about this before, part of the stress of it, everything comes back on him, right? So he's not afraid of that ownership. And so I think, and I don't mean ownership Shad Khan, I mean ownership and accountability.
Yeah.
And so I think he's going to have his hands on everything. The one other thing I do wonder a little bit about, and I think we might have mentioned this, I don't know if he's going to run such a tight ship that we won't know anything coming out of there, or if he's going to be a super transparent guy with the fans. I think fans are all in right now. Fans want to see everything. But keep in mind, at Ohio State and Florida, he was very much associated with ESPN. They would put a mic on him in practice. Recruiting is a big part of selling your university. There's a little bit of selling in Jacksonville, right, to make them a relevant franchise. People over the weekend were talking Hard Knocks. Initially, I was like, well, I don't think they'd want to do that. I doubt it. But then I was like, wait a minute now. He knows there's some selling to do here.
Well,
Maybe he would consider doing something like that. I'm not saying they will. And I know there are some rules about first-year coaches and stuff like that and whether they have to.
They could put a request in, though, if you really wanted to do that.
If they wanted to do it. And so initially, this is what I'm getting at. Initially, when people asked me that question, I was like, I think it will feel a little bit more Coughlin-esque in terms of tight and Fort Knox-ish. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not so sure about that. I think he wasn't afraid of a microphone and a camera and some of that transparency at Ohio State and Florida.
I think, like, if I was going to make a prediction on it, I would say it is going to be a little more tight-knit like Fort Knox, as opposed to being transparent and seeing behind the curtain, just because being a first-year guy, like, listen, he's got to focus on the team and he's got to focus on the task at hand. Because, yes, there are differences in college and in the NFL, no kidding. And I think that if you invite the media, if you peel behind the curtain a little bit too much, that can maybe be a little distraction for your first year. So I think once he gets established, maybe year 2, year 3, he starts to open up a little more. But I have a hard time seeing his first year with everything going on right now in the environment that we're in, that he's going to be 100% transparent of what's happening.
I think one thing that's crystal clear, too, as we talk about this, and you're talking about maybe getting that building down to its studs, of refreshing, flushing it, all that, gutting it. It can't be done in 5 or 6 months. There's no doubt everything he wants to do might be more of a 24 to 30-month kind of calendar. That's why you got to start at the top where the most important things are. But you also are building for the longer term, if that's what you're here to do. And there's no question that's what he's here to do. And I understand people say longer term. Meyer? Well, I think he took this job knowing that. That's a long-term vision. But obviously wants some instant gratification and success as well. Randy Moss, let's get into it a little bit when we come back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
Happy Tuesday. I'm Jake Mitchell. When it's all said and done in the trade for Jalen Ramsey, we received K'Lavon Chaisson and this year's 25th overall pick, which should help head coach Urban Meyer round out the roster, which also helped him decide that he wanted to land here.
No, I am not going to jump into a situation where I don't believe we can win. I won't do that. First of all, I have to get a great staff, not a good staff, a great staff. And when people are recommending, I've had multitude of people calling, and my comment is save the recommendation unless that you feel that person is elite in all areas, because that's what Jacksonville deserves, and that's what we're going to have on our staff.
Coach Meyer still has a lot of hiring to do. He did hire Anthony Schlegel as strength and conditioning coach and Charlie Strong as assistant head coach. There are candidates interviewing for the vacancies daily. This Sports Center Update is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
If you love golf, you need to get this deal. 8 rounds of golf for less than $12 per round plus card fees with the Dream 18 golf card at great area golf courses like Queens Harbor Yacht and Country Club, Fleming Island Golf Club, and 6 others. And this isn't just a golf card. Get a free shirt from Baker Sports, a free hat at Dome Hats, and a free smoothie from Smoothie King, plus 15% off any purchase at Palm Beach Autographs. Go to ESPN690.com to purchase the Dream 18 card for $95. Hundreds of dollars in savings and the perfect gift.
Dang it, Tom Casey.
A customer came up to me the other day to say she found herself saying exactly that.
Dang it, Tom Casey.
Because she walked into a friend's home with a Florida-rated AC system and could feel the difference. Now, that's a good thing. But this particular customer had mixed feelings about replacing her not that old AC. On the one hand, she was excited about being way more comfortable in her own home. No more sticky humidity. Fortunately, she reached out and I offered her upgrade options that gave her the comfort she wanted without replacing her system or costing more than her budget. So if you've been wondering if that whole Florida rated thing I'm always talking about is for real, yeah, it is. And if you're interested in upgrading, now is the perfect time. Because I'll let you in on a little secret. As a premium service provider, I generally don't discount. But I'll certainly do a little pencil sharpening during the slow season for customers ready to upgrade to the Griffin Service experience. If that's you, call me at
griffinservice.com.
License number 1250697.
I'm Alfreda Boney, founder and CEO of Perfectly Suited Career Consulting. I'm proud to be a Jax Chamber member and to serve on the advisory board of the Jacksonville Women's Business Center. The JWBC is innovating and adapting, embracing the digital transformation to serve more women in Northeast Florida. For example, we are launching the Network of Trust program that will mentor and vet female business owners, preparing them to take the next step as a company. For more information, visit JacksChamberFoundation.org.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope, and you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talent Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talon Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000. Or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
Hi, it's Phil with the Phil Aiken Home Team at Keller Williams. When it comes time to sell your home, put me and the Aiken Home Team to work for you. Here's why. Over the years, I've perfected the home selling system, putting the most money possible in your pocket. With my exclusive list of buyers in waiting, I may already have your buyer. And with thousands of buyers, I'm likely to create more demand and higher sales prices. I'll even guarantee to sell your home at a price agreeable to you, or I'll buy it myself. Don't just take it from me. Let me introduce actual clients, Lynn and Craig. Tell us about your home selling experience.
We were immediately at ease. We had a great deal of confidence that any questions we had or anything that we needed to learn about the process was going to be handled in an expert and professional way.
We sold our home in just 2 days for $3,500, more than list price. Anyone who wants to sell needs to call Phil Aiken Home Team.
Thanks for sharing. The number to call is 904-500-PHIL. That's 904-500-7445. Or visit philhasthebuyers.com.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late. And that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you're usually listening to ESPN 690 in your car, we appreciate it. But your boss has you working from home this week, so take us with you. Your smart speaker brings ESPN 690 into your home office. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
You know, with them being able to draft a guy like Trevor Lawrence, how will he fare, you know, coming into the league with Urban Meyer? He's been off for some time. And really, you just said something, social justice, being out in the community. You know, Jacksonville Jaguars in the state of Florida, Duval County is not a good county to be in. So I really think that Urban Meyer, and I'm talking about the violence, not just the people, I'm talking about the violence and the crime in Duval County. So when I look at Urban Meyer coming to this team, he has a lot to be working with, and it's just not the team. You just said the Black Lives Matter, everything that's going on in our country right now with the COVID, there's a lot of concerns going on. I just wish him the best of luck.
That is Randy Moss on NFL Countdown over the weekend. Not the only thing said. I thought there were a couple of interesting points. I think it was Teddy Bruschi who also brought up just the idea of Urban Meyer having to deal with different things than the last time he coached. I thought that was very interesting. Also, Rex Ryan basically saying, welcome to the big boy.
Well, and you know how Rex Ryan feels about it, right? Yeah. Like Rex Ryan paid his dues in the league. He started as he had to work his way up, and how you have Urban Meyer, this hot shot, successful college coach, comes in the NFL, kind of circumnavigates the whole process, and now here we are.
So what's your take on what Randy Moss said? And I do think it's important. Like, that was in the context, right? It was like, okay, what's he going to have to deal with, right? What's he going –
Yeah.
I guess the quick part of it for me is like, wait, did Urban Meyer say he's running for office? Is he running for mayor? I felt a little bit of that tone. Like, he's a football coach. All right. First of all, there's crime in a lot of places, and there's a lot of crime in Jacksonville. Like, Duval was – there's a lot of crime. Listen, I'm on CBS 47 and Fox 30. I know what leads the news every night. So I'm not saying he's dead wrong, but in the context that he put it, I thought it was a far reach, man, and a weird way to go when talking about the challenges of Urban Meyer.
It's so weird because, so this whole thing took place Sunday, right? And it was NFL Countdown. And obviously I saw the clip from there. And then some time after that, like, we talked about it, like, Gene Fournette, man. I love Gene Fournette to death because, like, me and that guy, like, he'll give me a call out of the blue when something, like, he thinks I should talk about. Like, he kind of gives me advice. So I'm not sure if he's, like, trying to take me underneath his wing. Brent, you better watch out. But, like, every once in a while we have a conversation.
Just don't go Thanksgiving dinner with him.
No,
those turkeys are tough.
No, man, I'm just going to bring a honey-baked ham and call it a day. But even Gene Fournette called me up, and he's like, you got to go after Randy. You got to go after Randy. You see what he said? And, like, you know how I operate. I can't stand it when the national media disrespects this city. the city that I live in. I've been here for 6 years off and on, but I consider this my city. I planted my roots here. This is home. And you know how I feel about it. Whether it's getting dissed in a commercial, whether it's going to commercial during a Super Bowl, whether it's someone stupid taking opinion about Hartford being Jacksonville of New York, whatever. Like I hate all that stuff, man. All right, and I'm probably a lot more sensitive than you are, Brent, and probably a lot more sensitive than probably 90% of the people around here in sports media are. This whole Randy Moss thing, though, is interesting because I saw the clip. And I saw the clip when he called Jacksonville and he said it's very violent and all that stuff, okay? And I sat there and I watched it on Twitter, and I'm like, what is the context here? Because there has to be more to this than just Randy Moss coming out and saying, like, listen, I don't know.
Be careful reading headlines. Yeah.
Exactly. And, like, I know Randy Moss is from, like, a country town or whatever like that, maybe a smaller city. I don't know Randy Moss, all right? I've never had a conversation with Randy Moss. But I had to get to the bottom of it, and I had to figure out where this came from. So I go back. I DVR'd the show. We'll go back and watch the show. And here's what happened. Teddy Bruschi talks about how Urban Meyer was saying that there's a lot of similarities on the white lines between the pro game and the college game. Okay? So Bruschi says that, and then he goes into a couple examples of, listen, Urban, you've been out of the game for a year, and here's what you missed. You've missed the Black Lives Matter and the racial injustice. Like, listen, Urban Meyer has maybe commented on that stuff, but he hasn't been in the locker room, right? He hasn't been directly affected from a team perspective. So that was Bruschi's first point.
I think that's a valid point, right?
It's a very valid point.
There are just things that have changed. Doesn't mean you can't do it.
Exactly.
But there are things that have changed.
It's a different landscape. It's a different environment. And then he goes into COVID-19. Right? And the whole COVID-19 thing, like, listen, once again, Urban, you're talking on Fox Sports, and that's great, but it's different now in a college locker room. Like, college campuses are different, and you missed out on that year. So that was another example. So they go from Bruschi saying that to all of a sudden Randy Moss comes in. And to me, what I garnered was that Randy Moss was trying to, like, one-up Teddy Bruschi and saying, hey, yeah, but, like, it's even worse than that. It's even worse than COVID. It's like he's going to be playing in Jacksonville where, it's a violent city. Now, listen, despite where you live, it's a city, okay? And there's good parts and there's bad parts. And when you talk about Jacksonville, yes, there are some bad parts. You'd be naive to say that it's all hunky-dory here in the neighborhood, because it's not. There's a lot of issues going on. So with that being said, I thought Randy Moss was trying to bounce an idea off Teddy Bruschi, but unfortunately it came across 100% the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it got taken out of context. So I'm not going to give Randy Moss a pass. Like, he still talks smack about, the city, and I don't appreciate that. I wish he would come out and clarify his comments. But I see where he was going with it. He was trying to make it a point, and it kind of snowballed, get out of control, and he couldn't go back on it.
Yeah, and a lot happens a lot. Listen, they have great opinions and great stories, a lot of former players, but sometimes trying to one-up and give a good response, and get people talking, it's a dangerous way to go. And so, again, everybody can kind of, on Jacksonville. It's just Jacksonville, don't worry. Well, Jacksonville stood up when he said that.
As they should.
And there's a lot of different things from what he said that you do have to put into context. Again, and one of them being Urban Meyer's not running for mayor or sheriff. He's the coach of the football team.
Yeah.
And by the way, a coach of a football team who wins can help lift the city too.
Yeah.
And so I wish Randy Moss, we'd requested it, Randy Moss. I've been told don't count on it, man. Yeah. But I'd love for Randy Moss to come on, talk. We'll show him around. We'll talk more about it on the other side. Let's get on the other side. We'll talk more about it. We're going to go to the top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Boss, hit the gas! What's going on? You were supposed to check to see if that house had anyone home. Now their porch is on fire.
Boss, I didn't do it. The ding-dong doorbell camera just burst into flames and started melting.
Oh, so it's true. Those things are fire hazards.
Yeah, and now we know another big difference between those cheap ding-dong doorbell cameras and a SafeTouch security system.
Well, yeah, with SafeTouch, homeowners don't have to worry about their video cameras getting hacked.
Or employees spying on customers.
Or bursting into flames.
Uh-oh. Fire department's coming, boss. Time to go.
I'm way ahead of you. By the way, your eyebrows are completely gone.
Oh, well. Maybe it's an improvement.
Just so I know you still got your senses, recite the Crooks R Us golden rule again.
Stay away from SafeTouch houses. Don't worry. It's burned into my brain.
crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
If you love golf, you need to get this deal. 8 rounds of golf for less than $12 a round, plus card fees, with the Dream 18 golf card at great area golf courses like the Golf Club at Southampton, the Club at Osprey Cove, and Hidden Hills Golf Club. And this isn't just a golf card. Get a free shirt from Baker Sports, a free hat at Dome Hats, and a free smoothie from Smoothie King, plus 15% off any purchase at Palm Beach Autographs. Go to ESPN690.com to purchase the Dream 18 card for just $95. Hundreds of dollars in savings and the perfect gift.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late, and that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My community means everything to me. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The training and leadership skills I get from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people and look out for my community. If you'd like to learn how you too can serve part-time in the community you love, visit NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida Army National Guard, aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
No matter what you are driving, you can step up to luxury now at any of the Fields Auto Group dealerships in Jacksonville. Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. So whatever you're driving, see Fields first and step up to luxury for less during this amazing opportunity. Visit fieldsauto.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Assurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dealing with battery problems? We can help you out and get you ready for the colder weather ahead. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a free charge, we can help with that too. And if it's time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Land of Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. If you didn't catch today's episode, I'm not mad at you, not even disappointed, but check out what you missed.
What's like the concept?
It's like mini games that you kind of compete battle royale style, but it's mini games and you just try to, be the last one standing essentially.
Let me try this again. So what is the concept?
It'll be
English. English. Check out our podcast on all platforms. Just search ESPN 690. Subscribe to our podcast. Thanks.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes cleared some big steps yesterday in the NFL's concussion protocol. Still has to go through other steps in the coming days. He is expected to practice tomorrow. Too early at this point to say if Mahomes will play in the AFC Championship game Sunday against the Bills. NBA, Kyrie Irving back at practice with his Nets teammates today. The expectation is that he'll return from a 7-game absence tomorrow night against the Cavaliers. It would be the first game that he, Kevin Durant, and James Harden are on the floor together as teammates, and Kyrie will play a crucial role if the Nets are going to win a championship. believes ESPN's Kendrick Perkins.
Kyrie could come in and fit in, and if Kyrie comes in and buys into his role, I mean, look the hell out. This team is going to be dangerous. This might be the most explosive offensive team we ever seen in NBA history.
Kendrick Perkins on the Max Kellerman Show. 76ers expect center Joel Embiid to play against the Celtics tomorrow night. He missed the last game with a sore knee. Phillies 9-2 with Embiid this season, 0-3 without him.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
Hey, welcome back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Just to conclude our conversation on what Randy Moss said on NFL Countdown, I think the moral of the story is it was just a weird reach by Randy Moss to bring up Duval, whether it's violence or crime rate or whatever. I just have never seen it done in that context when relating to a coaching hire. I mean, people have taken jobs in Oakland and Detroit and Chicago and other places, and there's issues in just about every big city, by the way. So it was really a weird reach by Randy Moss to do that. But it will also, at the end of the day, I think it shows an NFL fraternity that is not necessarily just willing to open the door to a college guy coming in. Doesn't matter the resume. You're a college guy. That's the way you've been. And until you prove otherwise and you can get it done here, well, we ain't letting you in until you showcase you can do that. Rex Ryan kind of said it that way. Yeah. You could almost tell by the way Brewski was talking, although I thought Brewski's comments were very well-intended, and I think he brought up a good point. And then Randy Moss, I think he just kind of piled on that. It's the NFL, man. This isn't college anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, they took one soundbite of what Urban Meyer said, saying there's similarities with college football and pro football on the field. And I would agree with that. Okay, I don't think
more than ever before, by the way,
especially on offense, right? So Urban Meyer wasn't wrong when he said that. But the problem that Teddy Bruschi even made, and especially Randy Moss, is you try to make it about the off the field stuff, right? When you cross the white lines, it's different than the off the field stuff. Yes, Jacksonville can be a rough city, all right? Randy Moss spent some time playing for the Tennessee Titans. I've been to Nashville a couple times. Guess what? Nashville, it's a fantastic city, but it's also some rough parts to it too, like any big city. That's just the way it is. So I think Randy Moss, he tried to make a point. It snowballed out of control. Like, I don't need to show him around Jacksonville, Brent. I'll be honest with you.
I will.
You guys can do that if you want. But, like, what is that going to prove, man? Like, every city's got good parts, and every city's got bad parts. Like, what Randy Moss needs to do is say, you know what? My comments were taken out of context. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend anybody, and let's move on from there. Like, if I'm Randy Moss's PR people, that's what I would do. Because, listen, like, I'll be the first one to talk smack about somebody that talks smack about my city in Jacksonville. I'll be the first one up, right? That's why Gene Fournette called me and said, you going to say something about it? Like, but you know what? That wasn't Randy Moss's intention, all right? Randy Moss has been to a lot of NFL cities. You know how it operates. I just think that he tried to make a point, and it snowballed out of control. And you know what, man? Like, there's a lot of wars to fight. There's a lot of battles to fight. But in my opinion, myself and Randy Moss isn't one of those battles, in my opinion.
Well, let's duke it out with Jason Fitz instead. I mean, he's probably easier to take down anyway.
Oh, absolutely, man. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go get him. Jason Fitz from Spain at 7 o'clock, ESPN Radio all across the country. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. What's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm a little bewildered, and you guys are right. Like, I'll be honest, I had not paid any attention to or heard the comment. So when you guys mentioned Randy Moss, I pulled up an article while you were talking about it, and it's the first I've seen of it, and it's outrageous. I'll be honest. I mean, my initial reaction is that you made the point in Nashville. Yeah, there are parts of Nashville that are absolutely unsafe. I'll never forget watching when I was living in one of those unsafe places. You know, somebody got shot in my front lawn. So, and that's 10 minutes from the stadium. So I don't think that you can necessarily sit there. And also, let's remember that Moss did play for a short stint where he quit on his team with the Raiders when they were in Oakland. Like, yes, the Bay Area. I went to the first Raiders game I went to as I was leaving the stadium. I asked somebody as I was leaving, I said, hey, we want to go somewhere and get a drink. Where can we go? And the really kind security person said, oh, my God, no, you have to immediately get on the train and get away from the stadium. This is not a safe area. So, like, I don't really understand why Duval County would have anything to do. Let's be real. When you're making Urban Meyer money, you build that house wherever you want to build that house, and you have a car service take you in if you have to. So I'm not really sure where that county is would have anything to do, or the violence in that county would have anything to do with why a coach would or wouldn't take a job. It seems like an absolutely strange statement from Austin to make.
Yeah, Jason Fitz with us here on ESPN 690, and I think Austin's right. I think he tried to one-up a little bit, and I don't know if it got taken out of context. I think he just delivered it maybe in not the way he intended. Either way, there is this view that Urban Meyer coming to Jacksonville is a leap because of the college to the NFL game. There feels like there is an NFL fraternity. Some people will like it, some people won't. Rex Ryan on the same show said, welcome to the big boy league. So, first of all, we haven't talked to you since. So what do you think of it, the Urban Meyer hire? And also, how much of a transition will it be, and can it work?
Well, look, and by the way, Rex is somebody that's never been quiet about his own shameless want for some of these jobs. So I think you have to understand, I've worked with him on Get Up a long time ago, and this was, at the time, he was even saying, well, I could have done that job better. So, like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to have plenty to say about a college coach making the leap. Look, Urban Meyer, I don't worry about a college coach making the leap, especially Urban Meyer making the leap, because as you referenced earlier, Brent, we are seeing now more and more of the college concepts come into the NFL, and it's coming in with some level of success. That's part of why we see young quarterbacks come in and deliver quickly with big historic numbers constantly, because they'll come in with concepts that match the needs of that quarterback, and they'll figure out a way to maximize it, bring some of those concepts in, especially in the passing game. So I don't think that there's any worry on whether or not Urban Meyer's offense can handle it. The problem I have with the hire in general would be fear for whatever's going on health-wise with Urban, because let's remember he's left a couple of jobs because of it, and the people I've talked to in the college football community, one particularly said they've never met anybody that takes losses harder than Urban Meyer. It just seems to rock him all the way to his core. And there's a belief from some that is what essentially spirals him to getting sick. Like one loss, whether it perceived loss, real loss, losing out on somebody in recruiting was the sort of thing that would just absolutely gut him. So if that's the case, and he's going to a franchise that hasn't necessarily had the most success and is going to need a little time to rebuild it, how does he handle what he's not used to, which is losing a bunch of football games? Now, that's to me the biggest question about it, because remembering that these contracts for coaches are fully guaranteed, you're now all in. Aside from that, I mean, here's the thing. We never know with coaching hires, and you can go back and just do a quick Google search on ranking the coaching hires, and you'll see how often we're wrong when you look back 5 years ago, which coach was supposed to be great and which one wasn't. So if I'm the Jags as an organization in the city of Jacksonville right now, I don't know that there's ever been a time that I've been more excited about my present and my future, because I now know that I have a big-name coach, and I now know that I'm about to get a once-in-a-generation Peyton Manning-like quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, what else would you possibly want as a fan base? So, I would at least give him a shot before I decided that he can't coach in the NFL.
Talking to Jason Fitz from ESPN. Jason, I kind of want a national media's perspective here. And I kind of said this last week a little bit. Like, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks in the 90s and early 2000s, I mean, there was a couple runs, but nothing major, right? And they weren't really that cool team to cheer for. Pete Carroll comes in, adds energy, adds the players, they get new uniforms, and all of a sudden we're talking about the 12th man. Now we're talking about one of the, the best fan bases, quote unquote, in the entire NFL. And to me, that all stemmed from Pete Carroll. Could you see kind of a, an uprising, if you will, and kind of be like the Seattle Seahawks of the East with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the type of energy that Urban Meyer could bring to the community and, more importantly, bring to the team?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, by the way. When I was a kid in Vegas, the Seahawks were a rival to the Raiders because they were all in the AFC West at the time. Kids, you may not remember this, but there was a realignment in the NFL. So I grew up anti-Seattle Seahawks, right? But I never saw Seahawks fans anywhere. And I was with Sunny, my wife. We were in Vegas years ago, right, as the Super Bowl runs started for Seattle. And I remember telling her at the time, we were there on a Sunday, and everywhere you looked, you saw Seahawks jerseys everywhere. Like, Vegas was overrun with Seahawks jerseys. And I told her, I said, man, I just want to see one of these that says the name Steve Largent instead of everything being, about a recent new player. But you're absolutely right. They did a smart thing in a brand redesign that really hit It hit hard. If I were the Jags, by the way, I'd be considering doing the same exact thing. A full, let's make sure we have the swag that everybody's going to want, because you're about to have a quarterback everybody's going to buy the jersey for. So the Seahawks picked a really good time to reinvent their media image, and they did it around a coach that was sort of a rock star personality that people gravitated to, and then players gravitated to. And we've seen what it's meant for them. And now they get what they never used to get, which is benefit of the doubt. Like, when things don't go well for the Seahawks, it's never, time to change everything. It's always, well, they'll tweak it and get it right next year. So that's the power that comes when you get the right combination of coach and quarterback. And that's what Jacksonville's got to, you've got to believe that today. You've got to believe that you have it. Otherwise, you're in for years of futility. So if you don't believe that today, when will you?
Yeah.
So, 100%.
Jason, I think you're right on the money, too, and I think people do believe it. I mean, there's a buzz around here. There really is. I mean, there has been ever since the Jets won against the Rams to give the Jags the front row seat for the number 1 pick, and then they clinched it. There was that 8-day stretch. There was a buzz. Trevor Lawrence, big difference than having the number 2 pick. But I'm actually a little bit surprised Meyer has had this much of a buzz. I mean, season ticket deposits, the way people have reacted, I think they feel exactly what you just said. What's interesting about the Seattle comp is Pete Carroll's a real likable guy. I don't know if Urban is that way across the board. I don't know if people would characterize him as that across the board, but sometimes polarizing is good and just gets as much attention because you pick a side. And by the way, Seattle had a little bit of that. Not everybody loves Richard Sherman, but they did like Russell Wilson. I think the quarterback around here, Trevor Lawrence, is a very likable guy, and I think people will like him. So that's fascinating. Hey, got to talk playoffs with you before we let you go. Was there a major surprise for you at all this weekend, now with the Final Four set? Packers, Bills win, Chiefs win, Bucks win. We're set up for a beauty. We love both of the matchups. It's fantastic for the NFL. But is there a surprise in any of it that you saw over the weekend?
I was surprised that the Saints – I picked the Saints to win over the Bucks. I was surprised that Breeze looked that bad. And, we all saw it, and there are moments – what I really walked away from that game, and as we get into, what we're seeing this weekend – one of my buddies texted me as Aaron Rodgers was just lighting it up and said, why did this team ever draft a quarterback? And then I was sitting there Sunday night watching the Bucs take on the Saints thinking, that's why the Packers drafted a quarterback. Like, they are in this little window that I can't believe I'm saying this, but they're actually sort of playing with house money. Like, they have a legitimate shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. And on top of that, they've identified what they think their future is. So I'm looking around at the Saints, who may or may not have their future. The Bucs obviously are all in on Brady for now and for let's see how long. But other teams like the Steelers have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. I keep looking at the Packers saying quietly, sneakily, the Packers have only gotten better in year 2 under Matt LaFleur. Aaron Rodgers playing incredible football right now. He's doing Mahomes things as he extends plays. It is fun to watch. And oh, by the way, they've really put themselves in a situation where they believe they've set themselves up for the future. I don't know. That's a stunning realization to me. So that was the biggest surprise. I think the AFC can look at it and say, hey, we've got young quarterbacks that are going to make this conference great for the next 10 years. That's their big takeaway. But I'm still looking at that Packers unexpected season saying, hey, tip of the hat to them.
I agree with you, especially since I had the Minnesota Vikings winning that division. And I haven't heard from my hometown ever since I made that pick, so it is what it is. Shout out to Iowa, Wisconsin. With that being
They've locked
said.
the doors on
They've
your
locked
hometown.
the doors. And they let Brent right in because he picked the Packers. Yeah,
You go to the pickle when you're up there, by the way, folks,
Hit
in
up
Wisconsin.
Hit up the pickle. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's shift gears a little bit and talk to Deshaun Watson real quick. It's an absolute dumpster fire right now in Houston. I've actually gone away from Jets Twitter, and I'm back on board on Houston Twitter because it is an absolute just spectacle what's transpiring right now. You hear Deshaun Watson wants out. You hear that he wants Bieniemy as the coach. You hear maybe the most important position in all professional sports is maybe getting his way right now, Jason. Are we going to see a revolution in how star players, especially from the quarterback position, have an influence over a team? Or do you see the Houston Texans just saying, you know what, Deshaun, if you don't want to buy in, so be it. We'll trade you away, and it's business as usual for the Houston Texans?
I think there's going to be very few players that will ever have the leverage that Deshaun has right now. Now, that being said, there are going to be a handful of them, and, I think the fear has got to be that as guys get disenfranchised, what keeps them from just walking away, and so that's got to be part of the fear if you're the Texans. The fact is, you blew it. If you're a Texans fan, I don't know that you've ever felt worse. We just talked about how great Jags fans feel. If you're a Texans fan, I don't know what you feel good about at all. And I'm telling you, and this goes for my beloved Raiders, I don't care what you have to give up. If you have a shot at Deshaun Watson, you take that shot all day, every day. and I realize that doesn't apply to you guys. You got the number 1 pick in the draft. You believe in Trevor Lawrence. I believe in proof of concept at the quarterback position, and I think that Deshaun Watson has shown everybody that he can be almost as good as Patrick Mahomes. You got a chance to acquire Patrick Mahomes-like play at the age 24 or 25 where you're going to have the quarterback position set for the next 14 years. I don't care if you have to give up every first and second round draft pick for the next 5 years. I don't care. Ask your pro scouting department to do a better job. Get your draft scouting department in line. Get your GM in line, and actually use the picks that you have in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round to get talent around them. When you have a chance for a generational, game-changing talent at the quarterback position, you do whatever it takes to get it. So I think everybody keeps talking about the Jets. I think everybody should be absolutely all in on trying to acquire Deshaun Watson, no matter what they have to give up, because you'll have time to build a roster around him.
Yeah,
he's a superstar.
Yeah, go and get that diet Patrick Mahomes, just kind of like Josh Jacobs at the diet James Robinson, if you will.
I can.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, I like to call myself like the Kmart Blue Light special version of Jesse Palmer. Like, go with a little growth on the face, a little spiky hair, like, I'm not fit or good looking or tall, but I'm cheaper. So, like I'm the unrestricted free agent version of Jesse Palmer.
Kirkland brand. He's the Kirkland brand with tattoos.
You can do like the Bachelor on like the ABC's digital channel or something.
Yeah, I mean, he does some of these like cooking war shows, and I'm like, look, I'm gonna kick his butt and take the job at some point, But maybe if he's on like Food TV, maybe I end up on like some random channel that so HGTV launching their first food show. Like maybe that's where I end up. That's what Watson's a little closer to Mahomes than I am to Jesse Palmer, but still.
We love
Very
you more
comparable.
than we love Jesse Palmer. No doubt about it. Jason Fitz, Spain and Fitz, 7 o'clock all across the country on ESPN Radio. Thanks, man. Good to hear from you.
You guys are the best. Have a great week.
All right. Do you think Deshaun Watson, by the way, plays again for the Houston Texans?
I don't think so. I think that's a fractured relationship. I think that they're going to try to get as much as you can for him, but I think if you keep him around, it's over. Now, listen to me, and it's funny, but it's the truth. J.J. Watt could be a key role in this whole thing, right? Because to me, the problem is Jack Easterby. Right? How that guy still has a job, and I'm not sure if you followed the whole Jack Easterby thing, but I'm saying to our listeners, check that whole thing out, because it's
we brought that up a couple times now, a few weeks ago, before the Watson stuff, because the article in SI. Go read a couple articles in Sports Illustrated, and again, you don't have to believe everything you read, but there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Yeah, and then Andre Johnson comes out and speaks against it, and listen, Andre Johnson, of all people, a guy who's very quiet, doesn't come out. So, like, the whole Jack Easterby thing, like, listen, this is where, in my opinion, leaders got to step up. And with all due respect to Deshaun Watson, because he is a polarizing figure in that city, J.J. Watt has him trumped, in my opinion. All right? For all that J.J. Watt's done for that city and just what he's given to that team, he still is the star of that team, I feel like. And maybe I'm completely wrong.
Interesting.
Right? Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like if J.J. Watt comes out and says something, you might see some fireworks.
I think it's almost bigger than anybody in Houston right now. I think this all is on Deshaun, and keep in mind David Mulligeta's his agent. Same one, Jalen Ramsey, you got out there. And I don't say that in a negative light. I know around here that's a negative light.
Jalen got what he wanted.
He got what he wanted, but I also think Mulligeta probably believes in and is trying for his clients. Again, this is his job to make player empowerment more of a thing. And so this is another one of the player empowerment. They won that. Whether you believe the Rams won, Jags won, whatever, I believe the Rams won anyway, because I think he's maybe the greatest player to play here. Yeah. But from a player empowerment standpoint, he got what he wanted, which is out. And so they won in that realm. Well, I think that's what that might be trying to go on here too. And I don't know Mulligeta, so I'm not trying to put him in a certain, but he proved that a little bit with Ramsey. Yeah. And I think big contracts are what you're after in an agent. He was able to do that with Ramsey, able to do that with Watson and others. He might be one of the hottest agents going right now. But I do think player empowerment is part of it. And how can you give the player more power? We've had discussions about this. There are positives, there are negatives. The bottom line is they're a hot commodity, a valuable commodity, an expensive commodity. And so whether he should be picking the GM, the head coach, or not, you still have to have a listen and his interest and his happiness in mind. And so I think that's something to watch here. That's where I think the common ground of the agent with Ramsey and Watson comes into play, because I don't know, once it goes bad, I'm not sure there's an olive branch you can reach out to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that relationship is probably severed once again, unless J.J. Watt. But, a guy that's on his back nine of his career, though, I'm not sure how much influence he has. But in terms of the face of the organization, I still consider J.J. Watt to be up there. It's interesting because if you compare this to what Tom Coughlin was going through here in Jacksonville, right? There was obviously a few players in that locker room that didn't like the way Tom Coughlin was running things. Now, those things came to a head, and you lost Jalen Ramsey, and Yannick Ngakoue didn't get his new contract here and all that stuff. But, like, what put it over the top was GrievanceGate, right? When all of a sudden the grievances were all brought up and saying, you know, I think 75% of the NFL's grievances came from Jacksonville. Well, that's got Tom Coughlin all over it. So once that came out and once the optics were worse enough, you had to let him go, okay? What's happening in Houston right now is even worse because you have Andre Johnson, a guy who's on the Mount Rushmore of Houston Texans. You have a guy, obviously, in DeAndre Hopkins, who's probably also on the Mount Rushmore of Houston Texans, who came out and said he agrees with Andre Johnson. It is Jack Easterby. So you got two former players like that came out and said he's the problem. Deshaun Watson has come out and said he could be the problem. So when you have three players, Brent, three well-respected players come out and say something, I mean, at what point, if you're the Houston Texans management, do you go, well, maybe we should start listening to our former and current players? Like, that'd be the equivalent to, like, Calais Campbell coming out and saying something about Tom Coughlin. Like, eventually you probably listen to Calais Campbell and you trust him. For whatever reason right now, it seems like there's not a trust factor in Houston.
I got one more question on this one. It sounds like Eric Bieniemy's been interviewed. Kind of this last-minute thing. They kind of went around the league circles to make it happen. There's obviously an optic play here. Minority head coach. Why isn't he getting a job? Why wasn't he even interviewed by the Houston Texans to begin with? Deshaun Watson would like him interviewed, to the reports. When all that is said and done, and what if they offer the job to Bieniemy in much reason as they want him to be the guy, they think he could be the guy, but to repair the relationship with Watson? Why would Bieniemy take it?
I wouldn't.
Like, why would he even take it? And how much is on Bieniemy to take it if he gets offered a job, considering right now the narrative is there's not enough minority head coaches being offered a job. Bieniemy hasn't been offered a job yet. But then if he gets offered the job, this one of all jobs where a lot of people would turn down, what if he turns it down?
Listen, we always talk about the right fit, right? And in terms of any coach wanting to go there right now, unless you're super desperate, and I'm not sure how desperate Eric Bieniemy is, the fact that he hasn't had a head coaching job yet is very peculiar to me. But everyone's got their levels, man. And I feel like anybody who wants to go to Houston right now, you're asking for problems. So would it be a bad look on Bieniemy's part? Possibly, because one coach could say, you know what, it's so bad here right now, let me be the guy to fix it.
There's a little bit of that.
And there's a little bit of that.
Right.
But let's be honest. If you lose Deshaun Watson and you got to start from scratch again, who wants to do that, honestly?
Well, he's not taking the job without Deshaun Watson. Like, if I'm Bieniemy, I'm saying, I'm taking the job because of Deshaun Watson. By the way, you're firing Easterby. I don't like the feeling here. That's the only way I would take it. But don't you sense what I said is accurate? Bieniemy, and to no fault of his own, is being put on this, like, pedestal. He's kind of like the poster child of minority coaches right now that has had so much success, is being endorsed yet not getting a job. And that's a big issue, by the way, in the NFL. Yet, does he feel pressure to say, if I get offered a job, I have to take it because I've been put on this pedestal? And what if I turned it down? I mean, it's like this great conflict, I would think, if I'm Bieniemy. If that happens, by the way, he has been offered the job, but I'm just saying, what if?
I mean, Brent,
there's a lot going on there, right?
It's definitely a great question, and I don't have a perfect answer for you. I wish I did. I'd love to have the perfect answer to, try to counter your argument, but I don't, man. Like, there's pros and cons to each side. It starts with Watson. If Watson is there, then you have a quarterback you can build around, and obviously Bieniemy being an offensive-minded guy can do that. But I'm not so sure if Watson's going to be sticking around, man. Because like he said, Brent, he was at a 2 and let go of Hopkins. He's at a 10 right now. Okay, he's at a 10, he said.
Depending on what goes on with Watson, you might be looking to just grab a coach for the next couple of years, give him the job, not even worried about winning, just to fix it, and have a better look in 3 years down the road when you hire your next guy. I mean, that organization all of a sudden is going backwards in a hurry. And you're going to have a lot of other guys wanting to depart. You watch.
Shout out to their PR department, too. You should probably give them a little raise.
Well, they fired one of their PR folks, remember? That was part of it this year.
For sure.
We'll be back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690. Mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid-60s, dropping to near 40 tonight. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 at Fox 30 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where you get the lowest diamond price guaranteed or your money back.
If you love golf or know somebody who does, you need to get this deal. 8 rounds of golf for less than $12 per round plus cart fees with a Dream 18 golf card at great area golf courses like St. John's Golf and Country Club, Amelia River Golf Club, and Eagle Landing Golf Club. And this isn't just a golf card. Get a free shirt from Baker Sports, a free hat at Dome Hats, and a free smoothie from Smoothie King, plus 15% off any purchase at Palm Beach Autographs. Go to ESPN690.com to purchase the Dream 18 card for $95. Hundreds of dollars in savings and the perfect gift.
In 2021, the new motto is Seize the Day. So you gotta go to Arlington Toyota, because their super low lease payments are gonna put a brand new Toyota in your driveway tonight. Right now at Arlington, lease a new 2021 RAV4 LE for just $224 a month, or lease a new 2021 Corolla LE for an amazingly low $127 a month. Seize the day and make 2021 yours in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Shop safely in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/January for full details.
As a parent or grandparent, deep down, do you worry that your child may not be able to defend him or herself if bullied? That they may be introverted, too attached to electronic devices, and their grades are suffering? Karate America teaches 7 steps designed to ensure a lifetime of success for your child or grandchild in a safe, sanitized environment with all necessary precautions taken to prevent COVID. Please visit karateamerica.info to fill out a survey and learn if they can help your child.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope, and you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talon Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talon Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000. Or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
For the ones standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner. Offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade for Phil Aiken Home Team Keller Williams Realty. I'm talking with Greg and Gary about their recent home sale. Why did you call Phil Aiken?
We called Phil Aiken because we had heard that his team will sell your house quickly and for more money than any of the other realtors in town.
Tell us what happened.
Phil Aiken and his A-team, they will make the process very easy. Sold in 4 days and got over asking price.
Well, that's great. So how did you think they were able to sell it so fast?
Because Phil has the buyers and they have the team that can get the job done quickly and stress-free.
What would you tell a friend who is looking for a real estate agent to sell their home?
Would I recommend Phil Aiken and the A-team? Absolutely.
Well, the results speak for themselves, right? Phil Aiken and his team have the systems and will even guarantee to sell your home in writing or buy it himself.
Yes, we got better results than we expected.
Thanks, Gary. Friends, hire the agent with the buyers looking to buy a home right now. Call Phil Aiken. Call 500-PHIL. That's 500-PHIL, or visit philhasthebuyers.com.
After a car accident, you can feel like you've lost control. I'm Mark Anajar from the law offices of Anajar & Levine. After the crash, call the police and document the scene by taking photos of all the vehicles involved. If you were injured, get medical attention as soon as possible. If you've been involved in a car accident, call the law offices of Anajar & Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation. And take back control of your life. Office in Jacksonville.
The Max Kellerman Show.
Doug Peterson, if you are losing by 11, I love aggression in coaches.
but there is such a thing as situational football.
The Max Kellerman Show, weekdays at 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio. And now, watch exclusively on ESPN+.
Brent Martineau.
Some NBA play-by-play here this week as well, right here on ESPN 690.
Austin Lane.
Hey, you all right?
Yeah, I know. You looked over like, are you going to make it?
Yeah, man. I'm making sure we're all good here.
Hey, listen, I get choked up about the new lineup.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
I would have to figure out how to get the Deshaun deal done, and I would sell Deshaun on the fact that he could be in New York. Mm-hmm. And if he wins big in New York, he could surpass Patrick Mahomes. And he could surpass, yes, absolutely. If he wins big in New York, if he wins in New York, you from here. Mm-hmm. He's going to pass Patrick Mahomes. If he wins a Super Bowl and an MVP, when was the last time an NFL player won MVP here in the city of New York?
I see Keyshawn Johnson's been listening to sports radio in New York as well, huh? What is that station up there that we
had Fan?
Back in? Nah, it wasn't the Fan, though. It was the ESPN affiliate up there. Well, listen, if you win a Super Bowl and an MVP anywhere, you're going to be big.
Yeah, Brent, but it's New York.
And Deshaun Watson's already big.
Hey, but you know what?
Keyshawn, stop it. Give me the damn microphone.
Like, imagine winning in a place where there's snow on the ground in the wintertime. Like, that's a big deal, Brent. It's a big deal there.
That was from Keyshawn Johnson. And
listen.
Zubin and Jay Williams in the morning, 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 690. You can yell at the radio just like I yelled at them.
Yeah. I mean, cool. New York, is that the destination? He's want to go play for the Jets? Because guess what? They're rebuilding right now. Like, what about the Saints? What about replacing Drew Brees? What about, like, Sean Payton having a new reinvigorated sense of duty here and calling plays and getting Deshaun Watson in the mix? What about the Saints? That'd be a big move.
That would be.
But, you know,
the quarterback shuffle this year could be fascinating, man. Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, although it looks like Wentz won the deal there and is going to stay in Philly.
Sorry, Doug. Doug Peterson, that is.
By the way, is Philly, like, going to interview every human being on Earth?
Oh, I'm getting called tomorrow. I'm expecting my call. My agent reached out to me.
One time, I might be right after you.
Coos grew up there. Coos got ties. It's the Good Old Boy Network.
By the way, like, are they going to interview President Trump starting tomorrow? Like, does that happen?
You never know, man.
I mean, they are doing the interviews in Florida after all.
You never know.
So it's unbelievable how many interviews they're doing. A quick one more thought on Bieniemy, because I can't let this go. We were just talking about it in the break, and I really do feel like Bieniemy might be put in an unfair position. And I don't. This might be crazy, okay? And you can stop me if it is. And I'm not trying to be overly dramatic, but
hit me with it.
The comparison I make is almost like the way Tiger Woods was when he first came out, right? He was this African-American golfer, and he was taking the golf world by storm in a white man's sport. And so everybody's like, you have to talk about social issues. You have to do this. And Tiger was essentially just like, hey, I just want to play golf, right? And if I can impact people, great, but I'm not going to talk about
this. It just wasn't him.
And people didn't like that. Like, they really didn't like that.
Yeah.
Well, so now, and again, I understand this isn't apples to apples. I'm just telling you what it reminds me of. And so now this conversation with the Rooney Rule and minorities in coaching, whether it's college or the NFL or in administrative roles like GMs, it's a topic. It's been a topic. The NFL's trying to do something about it. Not successfully, it looks like. We're in another coaching cycle where Robert Saleh is a minority, but he's a minority.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest, though. Like, he doesn't represent the black community.
He doesn't.
Okay, like the black community wasn't on Twitter celebrating when Robert Saleh got, the job at the New York Jets.
And so now you're getting Dan Campbell to the Lions and Staley to the Rams. And by the way, this is the greatest example of it. You're getting Rams coach Staley, who's young and might be a very good coach. This is not a knock on him, but he's a defensive guy where offensive guys seemingly are getting hired in a lot of places where you have a young offensive a franchise quarterback. So why wouldn't you hire the offensive guy? And they go hire the guy next door that is a white man who's young and that is a defensive guy. So that means, okay, is the Rooney Rule working? Is there a prejudice in the NFL ranks about hiring minorities? But where I come from on this is what we just talked about is like, okay, first of all, he got an interview, not because the Texans wanted to interview Eric Bieniemy. amazingly, everybody else did, but they didn't.
We even talked about that.
Yeah, and so they get an interview because of the discord with Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. Well, now I wouldn't touch that job with a 10-foot pole, man. Yeah. If I'm white, black, anything. I would not touch that job right now. I don't care if Deshaun Watson's there. It's a mess in Houston. I want to be put in a position to succeed. That does not look like a position to succeed, whether you have Watson or not. But isn't Bieniemy almost, if he is offered the job, has he been put out there as on like this pedestal to say, well, he represents minority coaching. Look at him, offensive guy with Patrick Mahomes, endorsed by Andy Reid, most successful organization in the last couple of years, and this guy doesn't have a job yet. And by the way, those are all facts, and that is kind of amazing. But does now he have to take the job or any job he gets offered almost to appease the folks that have been fighting for him in that regard?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to make this a black or white issue with the black community. I'm going to call this a racial injustice community, right? So the people that say, that cry, you know what, this isn't fair because the color of this guy's skin, he can't get a job, okay? And we talked about this during the break a little bit, Brent. Like, one of the things about football, and we talk about in the realms of balance and everything being equal, listen, if you have a really good season, guess what? You pick later in the draft. If you have a really good year or years, keep in mind, AFC Championship for the third year in a row for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, hosting. If
you have good years, your teams get poached from the coaches, right? Yep. It happens with the Patriots. It should be happening with the Chiefs. A little bit with the Chiefs, but it probably should be happening more. So we're predispositioned to think like, okay, well, they're a really good team. That means the coordinators must have to go someplace else and be head coaches because of the success. And people in the racial injustice communities that cry out racial injustice, they appoint and they put people on the pedestal. And I feel like in the world of sports right now, Bieniemy is that guy. Now, did Bieniemy ask for that? Absolutely not.
No.
But in a sport that has predominantly a lot of black athletes, 70%, and obviously in a sport that has a lot of black followers and a lot of racial injustice followers, let's just say, they put him like he's the guy now.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether
That's
he
why
wants
comparison to Woods a little bit.
Correct.
Right? Like,
whether he wants to be though, he's the guy, and it is what it is. So, to answer your question, does Bieniemy have to take the Houston job to make it right with the communities? Right? Because let's be honest. A lot of them right now, they're on bated breath. They're like, okay, come on, man. You got to do this. Let's go celebrate in the streets because you're going to take this job and it shows that we're making progress. There's no right answer. Okay,
I think there is one, though.
Okay, well, what's the answer?
I think the answer is no, because if I'm battling for that, which everybody should be battling for diversity. But
yeah, but you get it, Brent.
Well, but what I would say, if I was really in that corner and wanted to celebrate, Eric Bieniemy being a head coach, I also want to celebrate Eric Bieniemy being a successful head coach.
Without a doubt.
So I would wait. I would not take Houston. Houston is a bad job. I don't care if it has Deshaun Watson. Right now, the person who goes into Houston is not winning the next few years. They're in a bad spot to win, man.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like I said, white, black, whatever, man, woman, 30, 70. They're not winning in Houston.
Yeah.
It's too hard. And so I would say to Bieniemy, listen, you do where you go where you can go because one, you feel like you can win. One, you feel like it's a good fit. And also because you can be successful. You can't be successful there. I'd wait.
Well, Brent, and listen, let's not get it twisted here. I wholeheartedly agree with you. You know why? Because we talk the game in and out. Like, we understand the game of football. You've been covering it a lot longer than I have. Like, you get the game of football. That's why I'm here with you, because you can talk it. We understand it. That community, though, Brent, they don't always get the big picture. Okay, and I'm just saying, when you have an opportunity to become the head coach and you decline that, there'll be the other group out there that says, well, he had a shot. Like, what are you guys complaining about?
I know.
And listen, and the last thing that, the racial injustice community that wants to fight for wants to have to do is defend their guy for not taking the job. So I get where you're coming from. We're coming from the same spot right now. But I'm just talking about all the people in a generality here in terms of fighting the cause. They don't get it.
Yeah. Well, here's what the most important part is. The people in NFL circles who do the hiring have to get it.
Correct.
They have to say, hey, why didn't you take that job? Why? Because nobody wants that job.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a reason it's still out there.
Exactly. And you have to make it super transparent. I agree with you there.
Let's go to the phones. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Tony's along with us. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, fellas, man? It's been a while. I talked to you maybe a couple months ago, man. But,
great to hear from you again.
No problem. But I wanted to comment on this question, or on this response, I guess the message. I think Bieniemy should not take the job. Because, for one, they didn't want him anyway. Mm-hmm. The only reason why they want him now is because Deshaun Watson said, hey, that's the person I really wanted. Y'all didn't interview him at all. So why go and take that job just because you want to appease Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson might leave anyway, just because. So I don't think Bieniemy should take it.
So I appreciate the call, man. I agree with you, man. I think you're right on there.
That's all you got to say, actually.
And by the
that's
way,
a great point.
Hey, there's one other thing I think we have to really make sure crystal clear. One, he hasn't been offered the job, at least that we've seen. And we've been on for a couple hours, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I think the idea of what if he gets offered the job. And also, we really don't know, although Deshaun Watson, I think there's a ton of smoke here. We don't know exactly how Deshaun Watson feels. One, about Bieniemy. And two, about the organization, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I know we buy into it, but that stuff can change, too. So we just don't know exactly the circumstances of Watson's feelings about what's going on. I mean, Watson could simply say, hey, listen, get rid of Easterby, man, I'm all good. Could be as simple as that.
Sure.
He could say as simply, get me Bieniemy, I'm all good.
Yeah.
Right? We'll fix this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm back in. Mm-hmm. We don't know. Or he might be like, I'm all out, and I don't care who you hire.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we just don't know. So I think we're talking a little bit in hypotheticals here, but I think it's a what if question that might be just around the corner that will have a ton of eyeballs on it in the NFL. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Listen, if I'm Bieniemy, go out there, win you another Super Bowl. I don't know how much influence you have on the offense. Doesn't matter. Win another Super Bowl. Add that to your resume. And I don't care how bad you are in interviews. Eventually, they will not be able to deny you.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually, it'll get to the point where it'll be like, you guys are stupid for not taking Bieniemy.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Listen, I mean, I was on Bieniemy. I was a top 3 guy for me, no problem. Like, I wouldn't have had any problem.
Same here.
But we're not in these interviews. Is it because he interviews poorly? What is the reasoning? I don't know.
We had Maurice Jones-Drew on the show, and I get it. Like,
he loved
you know, I mean, it's his former coach, so, you know, he's a little biased, but everything Mo was saying about Bieniemy, I was a fan of. I'll just say that much.
Hey, a couple things from the NFL weekend, including a rule that is stupid. That's on the way. And it sounds like the Jags are keeping their offensive line coach. Do you like that? I've got a theory on why.
Hey, by the way, not so stupid.
Oh, here we go.
Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. We'll be back on Action Sports Jacks. I knew the defensive guy would say not so stupid.
It ain't
Bail
that stupid.
our ass out for not making a play.
It ain't
we'll be
that
back
stupid.
on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
Happy Tuesday. I'm Jake Mitchell. When it's all said and done in the trade for Jalen Ramsey, we received Kalavion Chason and this year's 25th overall pick, which should help head coach Urban Meyer round out the roster, which also helped him decide that he wanted to land here.
No, I am not going to jump into a situation where I don't believe we can win. I won't do that. First of all, I have to get a great staff, not a good staff, a great staff. And when people are recommending, I've had multitude of people calling, and my comment is save the recommendation unless that you feel that person is elite in all areas, because that's what Jacksonville deserves, and that's what we're going to have on our staff.
Coach Meyer still has a lot of hiring to do. He did hire Anthony Schlegel as strength and conditioning coach and Charlie Strong as assistant head coach. There are candidates interviewing for the vacancies daily. The Sports Center Update is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Nothing is certain except death and taxes. And your appliance is breaking down as soon as they're out of warranty. At Atlantic Coast Appliance, we can't help with the first two, but we've got the third one covered. Our factory-trained and certified technicians have been repairing appliances for more than 35 years, with a 90-day warranty on parts and labor and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. For quality repair at a price that's fair, trust Atlantic Coast Appliance. AtlanticCoastAppliance.com. That's AtlanticCoastAppliance.com.
An essential part of starting and running a business is managing cash flow. This involves not just generating sales revenue, but also securing financing, handling expenses, and ensuring there is working capital in order to reinvest. At SCORE, we offer advice and can direct you to resources to help address these issues. Since 1964, SCORE has helped more than 11 million entrepreneurs and small business owners. We provide free one-on-one mentoring, a library of online information, and a series of timely webinars. Go to jacksonville.score.org to see how we can assist you today.
In 2021, the new motto is Seize the Day. So you gotta go to Arlington Toyota, because their super low lease payments are gonna put a brand new Toyota in your driveway tonight. Right now at Arlington, lease a new 2021 Camry LE for as low as $186 a month. Or lease a new 2021 Tacoma SR5 Double Cab V6 for just $259 a month. Seize the day and make 2021 yours in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Shop safely in person at 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/January for full details.
I'm Marcus Roberts, and I've been blind since I was 5 years old. I'm a jazz pianist and composer, and I've been fortunate to perform all over the world for more than 30 years. I am also a proud graduate of the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind. While there, I had great teachers who specialized in working with blind and visually impaired students. FSDB provided me with many of the essential skills I needed to succeed. The school is a state public school available at no cost to eligible K-12 Florida students who are deaf, blind, or both. FSDB helps students to do more, be more, and achieve more. It prepares them for a lifetime of success. For more information, call 800-342-3732 or visit www.fsdbk12.org.
If you love golf, you need to get this deal. 8 rounds of golf for less than $12 per round plus card fees with the Dream 18 golf card at great area golf courses like Queens Harbor Yacht and Country Club, Fleming Island Golf Club, and 6 others. And this isn't just a golf card. Get a free shirt from Baker Sports, a free hat at Dome Hats, and a free smoothie from Smoothie King, plus 15% off any purchase at Palm Beach Autographs. Go to ESPN690.com to purchase the Dream 18 card for $95. Hundreds of dollars in savings and the perfect gift.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope, and you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talon Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talon Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
For the ones standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, it's Coos from Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Now, I know there's a ton of ways you can listen to the show, but did you know one of the ways is through a smart speaker? Yes, the Google Home, the Amazon Alexa. It's pretty easy to do. Just tell either of them to play ESPN 690. Try it out weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m., and you can listen to Action Sports Jax.
I hate the rule. I've always hated it, right? Because it's the only place on the field where if an offensive player fumbles the ball, and no one recovers it because it goes out of bounds, the defense gets possession of the football. This is not a new reaction I have to the rule. I've always felt this way. One of my biggest issues with rules in the NFL, and this certainly applies to defensive players trying to tackle the quarterback, is the NFL has made too many things that are instinctual for athletes penalties. The whole rule about how you can't land on the quarterback when you're tackling him. The NFL asks a lot of its players. This is an example of where I think instincts take over, and I can't blame the offensive player for wanting to reach.
Chill out.
That is Field Yates from ESPN. And I agree.
Chill out, Field.
I agree.
Chill out, Field Yates.
This is a massive play in this game.
Huge play, Brent.
And it brought up a lot of great conversation, like Bill Belichick and other teams teach not to dive for this purpose, right? It's like around the goal line a lot where you see quarterbacks, they'll reach the ball out, right?
Reckless.
And a lot of times that gets knocked backwards,
Reckless
into
behavior.
the field of play, but you got to take care of the football is what people will say.
Is that what people say, or is that what you're supposed to do? What do you mean that's what people say? That's the fundamental of football.
Should you get ejected for the game for fumbling around the 43-yard line, going out of bounds then?
Who's getting ejected? How most people get ejected?
Well, I just want some consequence if you're going to fumble. I mean, you didn't take care of the rock.
Hey,
How about a consequence?
No need to get ejected here or anything.
Here's the biggest beef that I have, and I know you're a defensive player.
That's a nice looking soapbox you're standing on.
Okay, I hate the rule. I think it's a dumb rule. Every time it comes up, I think it's a dumb rule. It's too penalizing for the offense.
Sounds a little sensitive right now, but go on.
I am sensitive because why then doesn't the defense get the ball, or is there more of a penalty when you fumble at the 43-yard line, goes out of bounds at the 36, and they put it back at the 43 and say it's first down offense? Sometimes it's a first down if they'd already passed the sticks. Why is that rewarded to the offense? And then around the goal line, it's not for the offense. It's rewarded for defense who never even touch the football sometimes.
Because it's the end zone, all right? Or as Nickelodeon called it, it's the slime zone. That's a little more important than the 10-yard line or the 5-yard line.
Oh,
it's the end zone.
It's important. So you're a big.
Hey! Last time I checked it, when you cross it, you score 6 points. So yeah.
So you're a big believer in letting the whistle eat the whistle in the final 30 seconds of a game rather than the final 5 minutes of a game.
What does that do with anything, Brent? What are you
so
saying?
You want to govern differently.
I want to govern
different segments of the field, different times of the game.
Brent, I just think the goal line is one of the most important lines in all football. So yeah, when you cross the 20-yard line, that's pretty good. When you cross the goal line, points are in play. And when points are in play, rules must be adjusted.
I don't want to give the touchdown, by the way. That's not what I've said. I don't think you should get the touchdown. The ball in that spot should have gone back for Higgins there. Should have gone back to the 2-yard line where he fumbled.
Yeah. Listen.
You still have a chance to stop them, by the way.
Listen. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not surprised.
You shouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised by you either.
I'm not really surprised. I expected more from you, though, in terms of reckless behavior. You're a guy that likes to play it safe. I mean that with all due respect. You're a guy that understands the wholesomeness of a game. And when a guy like Rashard Higgins puts the ball that recklessly, holds it like a loaf of bread, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose the ball. Because whether it's Pop Warner, whether it's high school, whether it's flag football and you're in second grade. Shout out to my second grade coach, Tim Heisey, who taught me this very first thing. First rule of football. You hold on to the ball, okay? You don't drop the ball. You hold on to it, all right? It's been ingrained in myself and football players all across the country since we were kids, Brent. So when you have a guy that is playing the highest level of football, acts so recklessly, and I understand, the end zone, it's a siren, and then sometimes you get swayed by its seductive song, if you will. And I get what Rashard Higgins was trying to do: put the team on your back, put the city of Cleveland on your back. Times have been tough there. I understand all of that, but when you did that, you lost the number one fundamental of all football: you hang on to the ball. He didn't do that, and unfortunately, Rashard Higgins, when you don't do that, you lose the football. I have no problem with it, Brent. No problem whatsoever. Oh, I'm sorry. Heaven forbid we have one defensive rule anymore in the NFL.
That's fair.
Heaven forbid. And listen.
Well, listen, I say the same thing about you defenders. By the way, was that helmet on helmet right there?
No, it was a good play. That was a great. What do you want Sorensen to do? What do you want him to do, Brent? Oh, okay. I'm going 20 miles per hour right now. He's going to score a touchdown. Let me be sure to put my right hand out and put my shoulder right into his sternum. Oh, no, that's right. I'm playing football, and it's like boom, boom. Okay? Well, not how it works,
my point to that is, first of all, I think there's a rule that if your helmet dislodges the ball, it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't come into play.
Yeah.
But you know me. I'm a big – I hate – the rule I hate more in football is the ejection for the college player for lowering his helmet. Yeah. I understand you shouldn't do it.
Targeted,
I understand you should be penalized for it, 15 yards. But for one offense of that in a game, to lower your head and be ejected, while I could sit there in a football game and shove you in the face after the whistle, and that could be a 15-yarder, but I stay in the game. like there's more malicious nature in that than there is in leading with the crown of your helmet. So I think that's a stupid rule,
I'm not mad
too.
at that. Okay, good. So we're on the same page there.
Yeah, we don't like that. We think it's too severe. Like, if you do it twice in a game, get them out of there. Fine.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. But one time in a game is ridiculous, and people disagree with me on that.
Yeah.
Safety of the game, I understand.
Sure.
But, again, I think when we start penalizing effort plays, a guy leading with the crown of his helmet trying to make a tackle is still making an effort play. He just did it wrong fundamentally.
Yeah.
A guy reaching for a pylon or reaching for extra yardage, making an effort play, but he did it fundamentally in the wrong way. He lost the football. And sometimes, by the way, loses the football without the defender doing a darn thing.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're rewarding a defense for not making a play at all sometimes.
Brent, listen, and I sang your praises last segment. I said, you know the game of football. I respect you. I love having conversations. And then you lay this crap on me, man. And now you go
Jack
with the
Del Rio
status
agrees
quo.
with me.
And then you go
Maybe
with the,
JDR.
And then you go with the status quo. Like, anytime a defender gets bailed out one time, nope, I don't agree with that. Offensive-driven league.
You just said it got bailed out.
Listen. At the end of the day, Brent, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have Don Beebe from Super Bowl XXV11. So you know what that means, because I don't. And we're going to have him on the show. And that play when the Dallas Cowboys lineman was running down the field, and Don Beebe, this play lives in infamy as one of the best, most hustle plays ever. Like, coaches in Wisconsin, he's from Buffalo, but he played for Wisconsin. Yeah, but he's still, like, coaches in Wisconsin, they'll still play this for their Pop Warner kids. Say, look what Don Beebe did. Don Beebe hustles his butt off, slaps the ball out of bounds, and the Bills get the play back. Why? Because Don Beebe hustled his butt off to make that play happen. So you mean to tell me right now that play doesn't happen? You mean to tell me right now that the Dallas Cowboys ball on the 1 yard line?
Yeah.
Sorry, Don?
Yeah, because if he knocked it out at the 43, the Dallas Cowboys would have kept it at the 43.
The cojones on you to talk bad about Don Beebe. Unbelievable,
By the way,
man.
that was an offensive guy who made the play against the defensive guy. You should have went for Lent. You should be on my side for this.
Kiss all those Wisconsin endorsements goodbye, because you're going to badmouth Don Beebe. See a pickle. See a Crystal Cafe. Come on over to the dark side. Come over to Austin Lane side, baby.
I love the pickle. We'll be back. Tony Boselli to the Hall of Fame. Will it happen? We won't know today, but it really becomes official whether it does happen or not today.
He's at the goal line.
Hey, don't fumble. Don't reach for the pylon.
Don't reach for the pylon. Hey, don't reach that pylon until you get there.
Is big.
Ball security.
We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Boss, have you heard the latest about the ding-dong doorbell cameras?
What, more employees spying on customers?
Nope.
Hackers again?
No, boss, this time they had to recall over 350,000 video doorbells.
Recall? What happened?
A bunch of them caught fire.
Whoa, unbelievable. It's one thing after another with them.
Yeah. Notice you never heard that with Safe Touch's video cameras?
Well, now you're just comparing a Bentley with a bumper car.
Exactly. I just don't understand why any homeowner wouldn't go with Safe Touch.
Yeah, their video monitoring's virtually hack-proof. Oh, and here's a bonus. Safe Touch cameras don't burst into flames.
No kidding.
It's just a good thing not everyone knows about Safe Touch, because we got to stick to the Crooks R Us golden rule. Stay away from Safe Touch houses.
Yeah, don't gotta tell me twice.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
The American Heart Association recommends that everyone get a flu vaccine, especially seniors, children, pregnant women, and people with underlying risk factors such as heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. For more, visit heart.org/flu prevention.
It is the home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18, and make it your home course as well. The golf club at Southampton in North St. Johns County, located off County Road 210. It's family owned and operated. Southampton is a fun course to play, and the golf club at Southampton offers club membership programs starting at just $79. With its elite practice facilities and player-friendly golf course design, it'll be your gateway to a great time with the family or with your buddies. For information on the membership programs, call the golf club at Southampton, 904-287-PLAY. Again, it's 904-287-PLAY.
The hardest part of any goal is oftentimes getting started. All month long, we're going to help you get started on the path for a happier you for free. To hear from our experts and check out upcoming shows from personal health to your home's health, visit GetStartedJax.com.
Love is not supposed to hurt. Domestic violence is about power and control. It's a choice made by the abuser. COVID-19 may have separated us, but we're here to help. If you know of someone who needs to talk, please call the Florida Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-500-1119. Trained advocates are available to provide support. This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Health, the Florida Department of Children and Families, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Appliances may work on your schedule, but they quit on theirs. At Atlantic Coast Appliance, we'll get your appliances back up and running in no time at all. Our factory-trained and certified technicians have repaired more than 100,000 appliances over the past 35 years, servicing Jacksonville to St. Augustine and Ponte Vedra with a 90-day warranty on parts and labor, plus a 100% satisfaction guarantee. When your appliances quit, we're ready to get started. For quality repair at a price that's fair, visit AtlanticCoastAppliance.com.
In 2021, the new motto is Seize the Day. So you gotta go to Arlington Toyota, because their super low lease payments are gonna put a brand new Toyota in your driveway tonight. Right now at Arlington, lease a new 2021 RAV4 LE for just $224 a month, or lease a new 2021 Corolla LE for an amazingly low $127 a month. Seize the day and make 2021 yours in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Shop safely in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/January for full details.
For DIY projects, you know the Home Depot's always in your corner. Now with our mobile app, it can also be in the palm of your hand. With digital tools like image search, snap a picture of something, it'll recognize it and serve up product suggestions in seconds. And our product locator will check availability and lead you right to it. The Home Depot mobile app. Download it today to get started. Only from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
Unfiltered. Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mahente.
But you're a New York fan, if you're a Jet fan, you're also worried about maybe even if we do surround Sam Darnold with the right skill sets or the right players, maybe this is who Sam Darnold is. Maybe he never blossoms out of this. It takes a really strong personality to bear out of that and say, that's not who I am. Maybe this is who Sam Darnold is.
Keyshawn, Jay Will, and Zubin. Weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, your smart speaker, or on ESPN News.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Social distancing doesn't mean disconnecting. If you're working from home or just steering clear of coworkers, keep tabs on the world of sports and Action Sports Jacks on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
In fact, Walter Jones told me that he wore 71 because Tony Boselli wore 71. And Willie Roaf said, you know, I used to have them cut up Boselli plays, even though we weren't in the same division or the same conference, just to check my game against what he was up to. So he was the standard that those guys ended up kind of using as to where their game was. You talk about Hall of Famers and opponents, and they all say Boselli was the best of the era. In fact, Anthony Munoz amended what he had said previously about Boselli. He had said Boselli was one of the best tackles he'd ever seen play. He amended it to say Tony was the best in his era. He deserves a spot in Canton.
Well, this came on fast. Today is the vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like last night, I saw Pro Football Talk tweet this. I was like, is this real?
Yeah.
And so I started asking around. I texted Tony. He's like, yeah, they're voting tomorrow. I was like, shoot, are you going to be around tomorrow? Well, we won't find out. We don't even know. Like, people don't even know when they're finding out. Now, I've heard the day before the Super Bowl still, but they're voted today. So that was Sam Kavaris, who was the presenter for Jacksonville and for Boselli. And they had a virtual call today. And you saw the tweet, right? It was the Pro Football Hall of Fame put the tweet out, part of the presentation. It's longer than that.
Yeah.
And here we go again. Tony Boselli. And I will say this. Here's one of my big beefs, okay? Say what you want about anybody in the media. Listen, we've competed on different TV stations before with Sam Kavaris, used to work at Channel 4, now is writing occasionally for the Florida Times Union. We've had Sam on when he was at the Masters in November.
Oh,
right?
That's right. Yeah.
So
I see. That's why I forgot it was golf. I'm kidding. No,
and he's been the presenter for a long time. And there's like one person in every NFL city that has like an NFL vote, and he's had the vote for a long time. And I think there's a lot of people that say, well, it's because of the presenter, because I don't believe it for a moment. I've covered this thing for the last 5 to 7 to 8 years, right up there at the Super Bowl. I've talked to voters. It's not. Everybody says Sam does a good job of presenting. It's not that. It's on the voters. It's on people like Gary Myers who votes, and it's stuck on longevity. It's guys like that. The case has been made for Tony. Tony made the case for himself. People like Willie Roaf, people like Anthony Munoz, people like Jason Taylor, people like Bruce Smith have gone to bat and said, we're in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame too. It's up to the damn voters. And listen, I'll defend Sam on this because I've asked people about it. Okay, it's not the presenter in this case. I don't think it's ever really been. I mean, people can make the argument, but since I've been covering this has little to do with presentation and more to do with the voters and voting on longevity versus greatness.
I get it. And listen, I'm entering my third year now in sports radio. So, like, I'm not really fresh to the whole Tony Boselli Hall of Fame thing because, I mean, I've heard it even when I wasn't working on the radio. I mean, obviously, I believe he deserves to be in it. And I'm not being biased because I'm, in Jacksonville, but maybe I'm a little biased because he signed my autograph when I was in preschool when I went to go visit the Jacksonville Jaguars at training camp. It was one of my very first autographs on my Jaguars program that I got with my daycare. So I always appreciated Tony. With that being said, and listen, I don't know how many of these voters are former football players. It can't be a lot of them. Brent, go ahead and give me a percentage real quick.
Say it again of what?
How many of these voters are former NFL players?
I
mean, is it zero? I mean, are we at 1%, 2%?
Yeah, it's all mostly writers and
that's what I'm saying.
Else. Yeah.
That's good. So maybe nobody.
I think the vote. Now you asked me that question. I'm pretty sure I always get all my different leagues confused at votes.
Yeah.
But let me check if current Hall of Famers have votes.
Okay.
I don't think that's even the case.
Whatever the case may be, there's a lot more people that have Tony Boselli's hands, or that had Tony Boselli in their hands in his future, that didn't play the game. All right, at the highest of levels. Now, maybe high school, college, so be it. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is when you're talking to these voters, let's be honest, Brent, from my perspective, from your perspective, from Kuz's perspective, when you watch the game of football, you hardly ever watch the tackles or the guards unless they mess up. Right? What are you watching?
Absolutely.
You're watching the quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
You're watching the wide receivers. The tackles, they're secondary. They're an afterthought. Okay?
Sometimes I'm watching my Twitter feed.
And Kuz watching his Twitter feed. To each their own. On top of that, when you're trying to campaign for a tackle to make the Hall of Fame, what do you have for stats? Nothing. There isn't a pancake stat out there you can say, oh, Tony Boselli had 100 and something pancakes in his. No. All there is games started and the success of the offenses that he played in. Simple as that. So while it's like a wide receiver or a running back where you can say, well, look at how many touchdowns he had. Look at how many yards he had. You can't do that with offensive linemen. So if you're trying to promote Tony Boselli, you're trying to get him in the Hall, and you mentioned it, and Sam Kavaris has done this, but I think you have to do it even more. You have to bring home the fact of what his peers say about him. Because what his peers say about him should mean everything. They are the experts. No disrespect to all the writers out there. They do a great job. But they aren't experts in saying who the better offensive tackle is. That comes down to his peers. That comes down to the guys that actually shared the trenches with them, whether they're teammates or opponents. But they know. They know more than anybody. And if you don't respect their word, and you don't respect what they say about Tony Boselli, then what are you doing in your position? Right? Like, every single year right now that Tony Boselli doesn't get in, you're essentially saying, Jason Taylor, yeah, I respect you, but I'm not going to listen to you, okay? All these guys. So that point needs to be driven home even more, I think. The fact that what do his peers say about Tony Boselli? And all that I've heard of, it's say he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and the only caveat to that, in fairness, is you have a lot of players that will say stuff, right? You ask a lot of opinions. Tom Brady said today Richard Seymour should be in. So do you listen to Tom Brady because he's the greatest of all time and he knows? Is he doing that just because he's a teammate? So I think
Jason Taylor wasn't Tony Boselli's teammate.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a lot of reaction. Like Jason Taylor might say, out of 15 guys on the finalist list, that 10 of them belong in the Hall of Fame. We're not going to put 10 in.
Sure.
That's really my point, I guess. But there are people that have criticized the selection process. Should players be more involved? And there are 48 voters, by the way, which we knew that. And then none of them are the former players. They're all writers and media representatives from each city. 2 from New York, 2 from L.A. as well.
Oh, yeah. It's
16
big
at-large
branding
selectors.
in New York there, so yeah.
So guys like Peter King and the likes of those that aren't necessarily in a city. And it's 80% that you got to get. So basically you need 39 votes. So 39. And I go back to, again, I've covered this really close the last 5 to 7 years, especially when it looks like Tony was knocking on the door from Houston to Miami last year to wherever we've been at the Super Bowls, Atlanta. And last year I probably did the deepest dive because I've told the story before. I had like goosebumps. I thought it was happening. I really did. Like it was delayed. We heard reports of people, and then it was like we hadn't heard anything on Tony. Like, that's a good thing, and really thought it was happening. And then it didn't. So we got the text from Tony. It didn't happen. Well, in that lobby, in that hotel lobby in Miami, I remember asking several of the voters, like, what's up? Can we do more? Can the local media do more? Can the presenter do more? And to the folks that I talked to, it wasn't all 48 of them, they didn't say, yeah, you guys really could do this. You could do that. They didn't say anything like that. It said, no, you're not going to do. That's not going to change it. One of the hiccups last year was that there were 3 linemen on the board, and a lot of the votes got split. And so a lot of folks aren't comfortable putting like 2 linemen in. One person I talked to had voted for all 3 offensive linemen, believe it or not. So, and that's what they told me. So I think we can try to dissect why, and really and there's other question too. Is this the year everybody asks? I have no idea. I felt pretty good a couple of times after talking to people weeks of the Super Bowl. They were like, this is the year, and it hasn't been. So I don't play that game anymore. I don't know if this is the year. I really don't. I think the Jags are doing a great job in terms of pushing them out there, and some of that momentum will help. I don't think they've always done a great job, if I'm being honest. Back, maybe a handful of years ago, I think they've done a much better job kind of building momentum. We're not in the room with Sam Kavaris, but I think he's done this long enough. He knows what a good presentation is. He's a good speaker. He knows what he has to deliver. I've seen clips of it. It all looks fine to me, So I don't think he's the issue. I think there's just one issue. And it's still these hard-headed beat writers or representatives that say longevity. And also, for guys like Gary Myers, I tweeted at him yesterday because he has succinctly said longevity is the problem. He's a great player, but it's longevity. That's what's held him up. And I said, well, you guys as a voting committee have set precedent now for Terrell Davis. They might set precedent again for Calvin Johnson this year. There is precedent now set that longevity isn't as big of a hurdle. And so if longevity was the problem, but greatness is what gets you in, well, as the more and more people that are willing to accept longevity not being a problem, which might just be 2 or 3 votes, man, that's it. Well, then we could see Tony get in this year. That's going to be it. Now, there are obviously some blockbuster names. There's Charles Woodson. Oh, yeah. There's Peyton Manning. Yeah, those are there's some others that are going to be debatable. Calvin Johnson. Is he going to get in? Is longevity going to be a sticking point? I just don't know how you put a great player like Calvin Johnson in a market where they didn't win very much with the short career and not put Boselli in.
Brian,
so they better. Well,
it's stats, man.
It's stats. It's notoriety. It's Megatron. But this will be a great comp, right? Because the Terrell Davis stuff, Terrell Davis won a Super Bowl and all those things. Calvin Johnson didn't do that. Calvin Johnson, a great player, right? One of the best at his position. Longevity wasn't 15 years in the NFL. And I wouldn't say a small market team, but almost a forgotten team at times with Detroit. it might be the best comp. So if they put Calvin Johnson in, Tony Boselli should be the next name that follows.
No, it should. But,
again.
I mean, no, absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. But, like...
And by the way, Tony Boselli should be in whether Calvin Johnson's in or not. Like, you know how I feel about it. But I'm just saying, if that's the sticking point, Calvin Johnson could be another guy that says, okay, what's the holdup, people? Yeah. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep being hypocritical saying, okay, longevity, and keep putting guys in with longevity issues.
But see, and here's the thing that's going to rub me the wrong way. I bet Calvin Johnson does get in because, like, if you want to compare him to Tony Boselli real quick, like, in terms of branding, it's Megatron. Right? Like, there's the numbers that go with Calvin Johnson. So if you're a Hall of Fame voter, you see those numbers, you see the brand, you see what he meant to the city of Detroit, and you go, well, yeah, I mean, Tony Boselli's, oh, man, Megatron. Yeah, let's go Calvin Johnson. Like, I can definitely see that happen.
And you know what? Your position.
And I'll be honest, it's going to take me off. All right? And listen, Calvin Johnson, one of the best teammates I ever had.
You said.
Only with him for
maybe the best player you played with.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he was literally him and Maurice Jones-Drew, and probably even more Calvin Johnson, I'm going to be honest. The only guy when I was on defense, I would come off the sidelines and, like, you know, we'd get chewed out because we messed up a play or something. It's probably my fault. But then I come to the sidelines, and instead of, like, sitting down and, like, getting some oxygen with the oxygen mask, I stand up. And I watched Calvin Johnson because it was must-see TV. And I had the best ticket in the house, man. Like, that was, like, kind of the first time. And we always talk about when we had Cecil Shorts on, we had Russell Allen on. What do they always say? They wish they would have lived in the moment more. Because that was our next thing.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson, the only time my NFL career actually lived in the moment and I took it all in was watching Calvin Johnson play on the sidelines because I knew I was witnessing something that I'd probably never see again.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about Calvin Johnson. Yeah. So don't get me wrong. Like, that guy deserves the Hall of Fame nod without a doubt in my mind. I hope he gets there. But it's not a popularity contest, Brent. Okay? Like, if your peers say that you should be in and it's wholehearted and it's genuine, then maybe you should listen to some of those peers. And I've heard constant Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer say that Tony Boselli deserves to be in. So, once again, with all due respect to the national media members out there who do a great job, and I understand that they're at their point in their lives for a reason because the hard work and dedication. But you got to start taking into more account, especially at a position that doesn't have the stats, that doesn't have the touchdowns and the yards, what people say about them. Maybe more than any other position on the offensive line where you don't have the stats, you got to take into account what his peers say about him. So to prove your point, Brett, like with you said, who does Tom Brady deserve to get in the Hall of Fame? Who did Tom Brady say?
Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour. Maybe. Okay, I'm not sure. What do his stats say, though? I can look at his stats right now, and I can compare Richard Seymour to every other player from that position. I can't do that with Tony Boselli. So I got to take it on good faith because I didn't grow up watching Tony Boselli. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't know, like, the type of guy he was on the field, but I know what people say about him. I know what his peers and his opponents say about him. And sometimes when you have that, you don't have the stats, you got to put it on good faith and say, I trust these guys making these comments.
Here's the other thing. There will be nobody in the football world that says, I can't believe you put Tony Boselli in. Mm-hmm. Nobody.
Yeah.
There really won't. Mm-hmm. Like, some are, oh, really? Was he a first ballot guy or should he be in? And first of all, most of the guys that are finalists and some that are semifinalists are great players and probably have earned the right to be in.
Yeah.
So there's really no such thing as that guy doesn't deserve to be in. He probably did it to get to this stage. But it's okay to put him in. Here's what always, this is the irony I find. I think a lot of people want to get mad at the presenter, want to get mad at the media, want to get mad at the voters, want to get up. They want to blame somebody. And I don't know what the thing to blame is. I blame the people in that room that cite longevity as the only reason. But you can't put great in the same sentence. It's a hall of great players. If he's great, he's great. If he's one of the best of his generation, his era, he's great. Like, forget about years. And we're not talking 3 years, by the way. You're not talking about 7 years. We're talking about a guy with a good career and all the accomplishments. Mm-hmm. But what I am a little surprised by, we're all sucker for stories in our business. And I'm really surprised that the voters don't know that he's a great player. They do know that he's a great player. And they have the ability to put the first ever Jaguar in the Hall of Fame. And they don't want to be a part of that. I'm surprised at that.
Yeah.
Like, I figured that would win out over some of the negative things or other players. Like, even Faneca, who probably has earned his right to the Hall of Fame. You could say he's a Hall of Famer. They've got like 50 Hall of Famers in Pittsburgh. With all due respect to Faneca, he's just another Steelers Hall of Famer. Like, if I'm a voter and I'm kind of the sucker for a story, and it's neck and neck, which it might be, and you're going to put one offensive lineman, I kind of like the idea of putting the lineman in that the team doesn't have a representative. Like, I feel like that could be even a tiebreaker, and I'm a little surprised, given our industry, and I know how some of them think, that hasn't been enough to get Tony over the top. Maybe it is. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm talking about tiebreakers here and why people will vote one way or another.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little surprised. I know what kind of makes journalists and media people tick a little bit, and I think that would win out. I've thought that would win out maybe more than it has.
Let me ask you this.
Especially when the Jags, by the way, were in the year where they were going to the AFC Championship game and they were relevant.
Yeah.
Well, here the Jags are relevant again. Maybe that helps. I don't know if that matters, but there have been a couple opportunities now.
I think it all. No, you're good. I think it all has something to do with it. And like the point that I'm going to make here is, listen, this past decade, let's be honest, the Jaguars, the optics, all that stuff, like, there has been a lot of respect from the national media regarding the Jacksonville Jaguars. And all of a sudden you start to see them on the come up a little bit, and a lot of people have a problem with that, and they want to crack their jokes. So be it. Do your thing. When Boselli played for the Jaguars, though, they were a force to be reckoned with. Okay? They were a team that a lot of teams had a circle saying, okay, it's going to be a tough, physical, brutal game, and we got to bring our A game. Right? It wasn't always like it was the past decade. Like, there was a time before that where the Jaguars were the immovable object, the irresistible force, whatever you want to call it. Do you get the sense, like, do you feel disrespected at all? Like, do you think this has to do with how the national media perceives Jacksonville nowadays in terms of how they're voting for Tony Boselli?
Yeah, I think a little bit.
Should you take that personal or not?
I think people do, and yeah, sure, I'm okay if you take everything from Randy Moss saying stuff to these guys. I think it has become a personal thing. I think Tony probably handles it better than most. We've been around Tony a lot around this time, and it's got to be tough. It's almost better this year that things are different because you get tired of the same thing. I know Tony gets tired of the same old thing. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Everybody's blowing smoke, being like, you're the guy. This is the year. And then boom, nothing happens, right? You don't get the knock on the door. And that's going to be a tough spot. And I'm telling you, I've covered it for a handful of years or more now. It's a tough spot, and you can see it. That's draining. And by the way, he appreciates everything, no doubt. He's handled it very well. So I think the difference this year is nice. But I believe now Jacksonville has almost stood up and said, man, we're taking it personal. Forget about how Tony feels. We're taking it personal. And so I do think there is a part of it. By the way, there's also a big group of people that believe Fred Taylor should be in this discussion already right now. I don't disagree with you. I think he should. But the bottom line is, you can tell me about Fred and everybody else. The bottom line is, Tony's the finalist. And I do believe Tony has to knock down the door before others to get in, whether it's Fred, Jimmy Smith, and whoever else down the road. I think Tony's the guy that's going to knock down the door for this franchise into Canton, Ohio. And but I agree with you. I think people do take it personal, and that's okay. That's cool. Like I bet Tony appreciates that probably more than he hears. It almost bothers everybody else. It bothers us in the media sometimes that he's not in. Maybe even more so than Tony, which is kind of a fascinating part of it. Speaking of offensive linemen, Tim Warhop, reportedly from Dennis Dodd's, is going to stay on board. I was a little surprised by that because I'd had conversations with people just about how that offensive line, the tackles especially, and there were some suggestions that coaching might have been part of it. Were they getting coached up enough? I mean, Jawan Taylor looked like he took a little step back this year. Cam Robinson, I think, was inconsistent. Interior played very well. Yeah. But what this says to me is Urban Meyer wants consistency. He's going to have a young quarterback. And so you keep the offensive line together. You keep their coach here. And I found it interesting. If I have my timeline correct, Warhop was a student assistant at Cincinnati when Urban Meyer was a player at Cincinnati, if my timing matches up correct.
There's the connection.
So that goes back some almost 40 years.
Listen, I'm all for keeping the continuity of the offensive line for sure, but you know how I feel about this, and I echoed this when Urban Meyer first got hired. You got to keep those bridge guys here. You have to keep guys that were here at the old regime because I feel like that helps out when you're building the new regime. You have to have a guy that knows what it means to live in the city of Jacksonville and coach the Jacksonville Jaguars. Warhop is that guy. I like the fact that Urban Meyer is keeping at least one guy from the old regime.
Hey, one other thought on Tony Boselli and the Hall of Fame vote. We just know that the vote's taking place today. We won't know. So, again, we're going to have to sit here and wait, which would be interesting to see if it gets leaked out or not.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want this to come back to me as me starting a riot, but do we storm the NFL meetings one day if he doesn't get in this year? Do we kind of run up a posse? Because you see Twitter, man, Pastor people on Twitter, do we start an uprising and march on these Hall of Fame voters?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'm not starting that here.
Okay. Well, then I'll see what's up.
We can virtually store.
Virtually. Very good.
You know what they're going to do?
Good peacemaker.
They're going to go on Twitter and type that meme that I can't really repeat here because it's got banned language, but it says, shut up, you know what?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's what they're going to do.
That's definitely what
That's what they're going to do.
To the Hall of Fame.
To the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. That's exactly what they'll do. All right, we come back. I got a question about the quarterbacks in the Final Four next on ESPN 690. All right, we're back. Apparently, Cruz says the computers froze up, so let's do it.
Is there a conspiracy where I said we should storm the NFL Hall of Fame voting and all of a sudden everything just goes to whack?
Yeah.
You think Roger's listening?
I don't know if he's...
My bad, listening. Roger.
So no break. Let's just stay with it here on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. And shift gears because I do have a question about the quarterbacks. We got two young guys in the AFC, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Two old guys in the NFC, and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
So first of all, Mahomes is okay, right? They said a pinched nerve.
Yeah, so it's less concussion, more
pinched nerve, which I had out of my MMA fights. So I know how that feels.
You know what's funny is Steph was watching that, and we're watching it. She's like, I think he got choked out.
Yeah.
And then they later said that it was like he got choked out.
She called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
how can that happen so fast?
Oh, listen, Brett,
I've been choked out.
Excuse me, I was gonna say
I've been choked out.
You've been choked out before.
It took
not by me.
Longer than that.
Well, he was being nice to you. I mean, if you want to see the full effects of a rear naked choke, I can show you in a millisecond if you really want to see that. But listen, if you hit I think they call it the carotid artery without getting too technical here. But if that gets pushed. You can fall asleep like that.
Bingo, huh?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like
and that's
bingo
what must
like
have
that.
happened.
Exactly. So I guess what they're saying is when that happened, obviously, then he had the concussion symptoms. Everything just kind of shut down. So it's great news from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective. Now, I've also had a pinched nerve before from an MMA fight where I guess mine was a little more severe because everything went black for a second, and then I had to go to JSO, and they told me I should stop doing it. But you know how I felt about that. But with that being said, I think if all systems are go with Patrick Mahomes, he should be fine with no side effects, which is great for the Chiefs.
Okay, so we got really good quarterback play, which, by the way, the idea that the Jags could end up and should end up and will end up with Trevor Lawrence just adds to this.
Yes.
The fact that you're looking around and you're seeing all this good quarterback play in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
But to the Final Four. And you've got Brady and Rodgers in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take this isn't a resume thing.
I know.
You're taking those two QBs, Rodgers and Brady, or are you taking Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the AFC?
Yeah.
Which side are you taking? You got to pick one.
Okay, so I'm going Team NFC or Team AFC?
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, man.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
No, and it's straight up quarterbacks. Not the offense, just the quarterbacks.
Oh. Just like I'm riding with these guys, or they should have a bet like that in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like I'm riding with these guys, or I'm riding with those guys.
This is crazy because here's where I stand right now. I think obviously give me Patrick Mahomes over anybody. Okay. But
even Aaron Rodgers, the way he's playing, he's the MVP of the league, man.
We'll see.
I mean, you have a chance to get back into the pickle, and you're not taking it.
Well, because here's the thing. You got Tom Brady, and I mean, I don't know. I think Mahomes is definitely the highest of caliber right now, and Aaron Rodgers is a close second. But, to me, Josh Allen might be fourth because, yes, he's taken strides this year, but I've seen bad Josh Allen, right? I saw bad Josh Allen, I feel like it was last year. So, with that being...
But, again, it's current. We're not talking resumes.
I know, Brent. You know what? Go ahead and give me two mobile guys over a decent mobile guy and a guy that can't get out of the pocket to save his life. So, go ahead and give me the AFC because you know Tom Brady ain't getting out of the pocket. So, you better block for him.
Yeah, I really feel like over the last, if you just take the calendar, let's just say over the last month, I think Aaron Rodgers is playing significantly better football, though, than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I really do. I think I would probably give the nod overall to Josh Allen over Brady, in fact, because I feel like Josh Allen's doing some things that are like, whoa, I mean, his ability to throw these sideline passes has been unreal.
It's simple as this. I think if you put Josh Allen on the Buccaneers, they're still going to the playoffs. You put Tom Brady on the Buffalo Bills, how do they do?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, they're probably still pretty good, but
I mean, they got Diggs, but I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how that. Listen, I think Brady's still playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, Brady's he's clicking.
Yeah.
I almost you remember the 2 plays in that game that went off Gronkowski's hands?
Yes.
And looked like they were just overthrown. Don't you wonder if they were really thrown where they need to be, but Gronk's lost like a quarter of a step more so? Like, I almost thought that, like, did Brady, it looks like Brady overthrows him by like a half a football, maybe a quarter of a football.
Yeah.
But I almost felt more like that's the way Brady threw it for the last 5 years in New England, and he used to get that.
Yeah.
That's the spot.
Well, listen.
But Gronk can't get there anymore.
If you're Gronkowski, maybe get a little grease, get a little WD-40 on those hips, man, because you're looking pretty I mean, listen, what Gronk's been able to do, though, because keep in mind, like, Gronk's Gronk, right? But the fact that he's been able to do this at such a high level for so long, because he's a two-way tight end, Brent, right? Like, a lot of tight ends out there, they're glorified receivers. Not Rob Gronkowski. Like, he's a glorified offensive lineman as well. So, and that takes a toll on your body. But I do agree with you. I think that Brady was kind of reliving those New England Patriot days a little bit, and you could see Gronk might have lost just a little step.
How much more will Rodgers play at this level now for the next, I don't know, 3 years? Like, if you ask, here's what everybody loves to ask this question: who do you got? Well, okay, Brady's old. Let's eliminate him. Josh Allen, he did it for this year. I'm not sure I would. I got to see a little bit more. Listen, it's been a phenomenal year, but do people figure him out? Do they go back to the tape? Do they look at tendencies? Can he be this good?
But here's the thing, though, Brent. Like, define figuring him out, right? Because last year we talked about Lamar Jackson. Well, people figure him out. Well, we kind of saw, like, listen, if they can figure out that option and him running the ball and you contain him, quarterback spy, you might figure him out. Josh Allen's got a good arm. Like, Josh Allen can be a pocket quarterback when he has to.
No, he's been sensational.
So how do you really figure out Josh Allen, though, I guess?
I don't know. I just wonder, though, because he's only done it for 1 year. I know people haven't figured out Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady over their careers, and it doesn't look like they figured out Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I guess that's my point. So, I wonder if you took the next 3 years, who will play better overall football the next 3 years, Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes? I think is a more fair question than people want to consider, because people want to go right into Mahomes being, hey, he's Mahomes.
He's young.
Well, Rodgers does freaking unbelievable things with a lot less.
Nobody.
With a lot less.
All of a sudden, here comes Robert Tonyan out of nowhere.
And nobody wants to admit, but don't forget.
Mazard.
Listen, Kansas City's been sensational.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers has been the best player in the National Football League this year.
Yes. No, I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. Man, listen, with Aaron Rodgers, like, nobody saw this coming, especially me, because of how that NFC Championship game ended last year, where they got curb stomped by the 49ers. Like, literally, their defense shut Aaron Rodgers down. It was embarrassing. And at least and I talked to a lot of friends back home in Wisconsin, like, they thought it was over. Like, they thought the run was over for the Green Bay Packers. What happened in the draft? They get Jordan Love. They get A.J. Dillon. They draft this tight end from Cincinnati. Like, 3 players taken, the first 3 picks have barely contributed. Now, A.J. Dillon is getting some run now, but they still got Aaron Jones, still got Jamal Williams. But, like, 3 players, the first 3 players taken in the draft have not contributed hardly at all. How many NFL teams can say that and say, you know what, we're having a better season than we did last year?
That's a good point.
That's insane, because I think the writing was on the wall saying, all right, they're going Jordan Love, they're taking a new running back, Aaron Jones contract coming, like, all right, let's go in a new direction. And that may have been the plan, but what they didn't plan for, obviously, was the gamesmanship of Aaron Rodgers. So in terms of what quarterback I would take overall, even over Mahomes, I'd probably take Aaron Rodgers, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think this guy's...
Just for like a 3-year sample, the next 3 years.
Because I think this guy is playing with a chip on his shoulder right now. I think this guy is playing with newfound motivation. I think in the past, when you've seen his sideline demeanor, it hasn't always been the best. But I think this year, this year has kind of been the middle finger to the organization. Hey, you want to get Jordan Love? Here's why that was a dumb decision.
Yeah, it's easy to look like you're having fun when you're winning, but he really looks like he's having fun. And he's so loose, and he's just at that perfect crescendo in his career where everything's slow for him, and he still can play fast. Like, that's the perfect marriage. When the game slows down to the point where you can master it, but you're still fast enough to play it at every level.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where Aaron Rodgers is right now. And by the way, don't sleep on my Ashland guy, Matt LaFleur, because he gets no love. No love.
No, you give him
but
props.
all the guy's
Give him
done
props.
is win
Give him props.
ever since he's been in the NFL.
Give him props. And especially, too, because that hire was kind of like,
It was.
like
I mean,
Tennessee
I was like,
Titans
who's this
of
guy?
the NFC? What are we talking about? No, Matt LaFleur's done a fantastic job. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers is the MVP this year if they don't get Jordan Love? Like, do you think that was the ultimate de facto, or do you think Aaron Rodgers still has a great year this year?
He probably still is pretty darn good. I mean, he was good last year, you know.
Yeah,
and so I think he's pretty good, but I think that they'd give him an edge. It's the one thing the Patriots proved. I think in Tom Brady's tenure, they drafted 9 quarterbacks, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that was purposeful. One, just in case, but 2, we're going to keep this guy sharp. We preach competition. Well, guess what? That guy ain't getting a pass.
Don't get comfortable.
And it keeps you sharp. And even if you're Tom Brady, even if you're Aaron Rodgers. So I can't sit here and say, no, that had no impact. I think it certainly had him focused, locked, and loaded and ready to deliver. But he did play well last year even before it. I don't think people, maybe not at this level, but he's pretty darn good last year.
And listen, at the end of the day, too, you got to keep in mind, you got Jordan Love, the first-round pick, just sitting on the bench right now, watching how Aaron Rodgers is going about things.
He
and
might
eventually,
wait
when it's
longer than Aaron Rodgers waited.
No, for sure. But I'm saying when it's his time, like, he should be more than ready.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's take a break. Computers are up and firing.
Let's hope.
For now.
We think. We'll be back. One more segment. Give me one thing. It's coming up. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. I got a story for you. It's kind of interesting. On the way.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Clear and chilly tonight, dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s. Have a sweater or jacket handy. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where you get the lowest diamond price guaranteed or your money back.
Most people don't realize there is a Holocaust gallery right here in Jacksonville at Jewish Family and Community Services. Also, there are many Holocaust survivors that live locally. The Frisch Family Holocaust Memorial Gallery features rotating exhibits, making it a great free resource to schools, civic groups, anyone. And it's so important we remember, especially our youth. Jewish Family and Community Services, here for remembrance, here for Jax. Learn more at hereforjax.com.
Happy New Year from the team at CGC Water. This new year, our gift to you is clean drinking water. A Connecticut system from CGC Water removes up to 99% of contaminants. That's clean water. Right now, CGC Water is offering a free A200 reverse osmosis drinking water system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. If you're still not filtering your water, you are the filter. Schedule your free water test today and get peace of mind knowing your family's water is safe water. CGC is still taking extra precautions with in-home visits and continuing to follow CDC guidelines. Remember this limited time offer, a free A200 reverse osmosis drinking water system with the purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. Special holiday financing still available with approved credit. Call 904-552-1242 for details or visit cgcwater.com. Serving Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer. Have a happy, safe, and prosperous new year.
Nothing is certain except death and taxes. And your appliances breaking down as soon as they're out of warranty. At Atlantic Coast Appliance, we can't help with the first two, but we've got the third one covered. Our factory-trained and certified technicians have been repairing appliances for more than 35 years, with a 90-day warranty on parts and labor and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. For quality repair at a price that's fair, trust Atlantic Coast Appliance. AtlanticCoastAppliance.com. That's AtlanticCoastAppliance.com.
Hey, do you owe more than $25,000 on your car, a truck, or that toy in the driveway? Refinance your auto loan with One-to-One Financial. We'll not only lower your payments, but we'll put $200 cash in your pocket. Plus, we have the lowest loan rates in town. Make some room in your budget and put more cash in your pocket. When you refinance with One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Apply today at 121fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
You probably played this as a kid, especially if you had siblings. Put a kink in the garden hose when your brother's trying to use it, then once the nozzles turn towards him, let it go. It's more fun when you're the older brother. The thing is, even a slight kink will reduce water flow to a trickle, and FlexDuct is like that too. Now you might be thinking,
it can't be that screwed up, can it? I can still feel air coming out of the vents.
And without working in air conditioning my whole life, I might think the same thing. Unfortunately, it can and often is that screwed up. Kinked and spaghetti ductwork, hairpin turns. It's why our techs take pictures. And just because airflow is coming out of the vent doesn't mean it's adequate airflow. It's why Griffin service techs measure airflow and static pressure rather than just feeling with their hands and guessing. Because without adequate airflow, performance turns into turd buckets. The good news, it doesn't take that much work to dramatically improve airflow and comfort. The better news, from now until February, you can get a deal on fixing your ductwork. But only if you call
GriffinService.com.
License number 1250697.
No matter what you are driving, you can step up to luxury now at any of the Fields Auto Group dealerships in Jacksonville. Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. So whatever you're driving, see Fields first and step up to luxury for less during this amazing opportunity. Visit fieldsauto.com.
Happy New Year from the team at CGC Water. This new year, our gift to you is clean drinking water. A Connecticut system from CGC Water removes up to 99% of contaminants. That's clean water. Right now, CGC Water is offering a free A200 reverse osmosis drinking water system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier softener. If you're still not filtering your water, you are the filter. Schedule your free water test today and get peace of mind knowing your family's water is safe water. CGC is still taking extra precautions with in-home visits and continuing to follow CDC guidelines. Remember this limited time offer, a free A200 reverse osmosis drinking water system with the purchase of a Connecticut Premier softener. Special holiday financing still available with approved credit. Call 904-552-1242 for details or visit cgcwater.com. Serving Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer. Have a happy, safe, and prosperous new year.
Hi, it's Phil with the Phil Aiken Home Team at Keller Williams. When it comes time to sell your home, put me and the Aiken Home Team to work for you. Here's why. Over the years, I've perfected the home selling system, putting the most money possible in your pocket. With my exclusive list of buyers in waiting, I may already have your buyer. And with thousands of buyers, I'm likely to create more demand and higher sales prices. I'll even guarantee to sell your home at a price agreeable to you, or I'll buy it myself. Don't just take it from me. Let me introduce actual clients, Lynn and Craig. Tell us about your home selling experience.
We were immediately at ease. We had a great deal of confidence that any questions we had or anything that we needed to learn about the process was going to be handled in an expert and professional way.
We sold our home in just 2 days for $3,500 more than list price. Anyone who wants to sell needs to call Phil Aiken Home Team.
Thanks for sharing. The number to call is 904-500-PHIL. That's 904-500-7445. Or visit philhasthebuyers.com.
Nothing is certain except death and taxes. And your appliance is breaking down as soon as they're out of warranty. At Atlantic Coast Appliance, we can't help with the first two, but we've got the third one covered. Our factory-trained and certified technicians have been repairing appliances for more than 35 years, with a 90-day warranty on parts and labor and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. For quality repair at a price that's fair, trust Atlantic Coast Appliance. AtlanticCoastAppliance.com. That's AtlanticCoastAppliance.com.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to rise, overlapping with flu season, the American Heart Association says get a flu shot. It's more important than ever, especially for seniors, children, pregnant women, and people with heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. If you get the flu, you may need to be hospitalized in an already overwhelmed hospital. The flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at places like your doctor's office or pharmacy. For more, visit heart.org/flu prevention.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from Action Sports Jackson, ESPN 690. Social distancing doesn't mean disconnecting. If you're working from home, keep tabs on the world of sports and Action Sports Jacks on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home, play ESPN 690.
We were young in Oklahoma City. You know, we're grown men now.
We know what we want. We really know the game of basketball now. We're not those young guys that just run around and want to just shoot and dunk all day. We know the games. We know spots. We know, teams, players. We're more advanced. And then for me, as I sit back, I know what type of player Kevin Durant is. He's one of the best players to ever touch a basketball. He's God-given, 7 foot, can basically do everything. So for me, it's not trying to compete with that. It's allowing Kevin to be the best Kevin he can be. And I'm going to make sure that I can make him better and then make my teammates better. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
James Harden now happy?
And Kyrie, yeah, we'll see.
What did Kyrie say today? Something like he's just had a lot of personal things going on. Was that the story?
Yeah, he kind of told the media, like, you guys don't know what's going on and try to act like you do, so.
Of course, it's the media's fault.
I blame you, Brent.
Rational Jags fan says, linked us over to NFL rumors and updates. Jaguars likely to name Ravens coach Anthony Weaver defensive coordinator. Now, Weaver, this would be a great hire. I love Anthony Weaver, man. Weaver was in Houston as well in the last few years. He's a Notre Dame guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you this, he's from the Albany, New York area because I covered him in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang, so you got a connection.
Yeah.
I like it,
how about
Brent.
that?
We like our connections around ESPN 690.
That's right. We'll take it. But he's a good dude, really good dude. And I think one of those rising stars, kind of like you talk about like Aaron Glenn and rising star in the NFL circles.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool. I'd heard his name mentioned.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that's the case for Anthony.
We're talking about a 3-4 defense there, Brent?
Yeah, real quick,
shiny.
the Ravens, from Joe Cullen to maybe Anthony Weaver or whatever, and Houston played 3-4.
Yes, they did.
Right? So
yes.
is he does that make him a 3-4 guy for sure? Or, Baltimore really mixes it up. It's hard to tell what they play sometimes.
No, listen,
so
I'm all for the mix, but what I need is that I need Josh Allen, I need Caleb Von Chase on to stand up.
Yeah.
All right? What they're accustomed to doing. So let's just say that much. So
I can't
call it a
imagine.
3-4 or a 4-3 hybrid. I don't care. Let them stand up.
It's pretty crystal clear. Urban Meyer watched the Jags play quite a bit this fall.
Yeah.
And he's got to know what everybody else knows. These guys are better suited for a 3-4.
Brent, he listens
and by
to the
the
show.
way,
He knows.
Poor guy had to watch that 1 in 15 year.
He does.
It's like, holy cow.
Yeah, when you're doing your research, ooh,
I know.
That's hard to get through.
I thought about this. Everybody says the eye in the sky.
Doesn't lie.
Well, think about those players now that kept playing hard.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, they had no reason not to play hard. They're young guys just trying to make it in the NFL. I don't care what their record was.
True.
And so I do think like Marone and the staff got a little fortuitous there that those guys had to play. Plus, they were playing the 65th guy on the roster. Is that guy not going to play hard? Right? You're not talking about a 12-year vet
he's happy to be there.
who's got $85 million, right? They're trying to make their money. But it's a good thing they played hard because Meyer was probably watching the whole time.
Yeah.
Or at least a good chunk of it. I mean, you got to think he was eyeing, if he was thinking about getting the NFL, he was eyeing the Chargers. He was looking at jobs like that, even without knowing what kind of conversations were taking place prior.
Yeah.
You got to believe he was keeping an eye on it. So, all right, give me one thing.
Yeah.
I go to the bullpen. Well, really what I should do for give me one thing is Chad Henne and Andy Reid on 4th and 1. Good for Chad Henne.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't know what the heck that throw was. I was rooting for Chad Henne. He makes a couple of really nice throws, and then he throws up a punt.
That was a punt.
On first down.
That was a punt.
What was that?
Yeah.
But then to come up big in that situation, really cool moment, you know. For a guy, you get hammered in that backup role. You're like cast off. What a great moment to have.
Well, and the celebration was the best, too, because I spent some time playing with Chad Henne, and he's always been a very calm, reserved, just kind of go with the flow kind of guy. And to see his reaction when he picked up that first down on that long run.
Oh, yeah. Well, he thought he did. He
man.
didn't,
well, he thought he did. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a great
that was
point.
a heck of an effort,
but
man.
That, dude, that's like, I mean, and I wish I could put that into words, but like, of all the time he's been in the NFL, and yeah, obviously it's been predominantly a backup role, like that's like years and years and years, Brent, getting to the culmination where you get that one moment. And like that was that one moment. He didn't convert the first down, but at the time he thought he did. And like you saw all the emotion come out of him. That was really cool to see.
Well, and by the way, would you have ever gone for that on 4th and inches?
Like that too?
Did you think they were going?
I thought they were going to go.
You did.
I thought for sure they were going to go.
Because
Brandon,
listen, they
Reed.
punted inside the 15. They have 90 yards to go in 100 seconds. I'm sorry, a minute, 60 seconds.
Yeah, I thought Reed was thinking like, hey, either we win it here or we suffer the consequences. Like I expected that. Did not expect the play call.
By the way, you don't do that if you don't have a Lombardi in your back pocket. I'm convinced of it. Andy Reid does not call that play if they had not won the Super Bowl last year. I'm convinced of it.
But you know what? He put the trust in his offense's hands. And Andy Reid's an offensive-minded guy. I respect what he did.
The theatrics going into that play were unbelievable.
It's insane.
Great job.
Insane.
Nobody,
but you still
Romo didn't think they were snapping it. And he knows everything.
I know. And listen, and I understand it's just a little pass and catch, but you still got to pass and catch it. Like,
I know. Good for Chad Henne. Really, seriously, a good guy. Good guy. Good for Chad Henne. And I still contend, I said this on Twitter, I would have gone for it if I was Cleveland, man. And I didn't say this in hindsight. I said it at the time.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it is I want 2 chances to win. Yeah. In order to give I've made it this far. I got to steal something on the road. I want 2 chances. And what if I don't get the ball back? That has to enter your mind. Their last play of their season in a game they lose by 5 points is a punt. With 4.5 minutes to go, I
hear you.
I understand they had 3rd and 13. I get 3rd and 14.
Henne, yeah.
I get it. But so hey, if you give up a first down and you get the ball back and they kick a field goal, you're down 25-17. You still have a chance.
No, I hear you. But once again, that's a Cleveland Browns team putting trust in their defense. You know, I mean, no,
against the best offense of our lifetime.
Listen, with Chad Henne though. I get what you're saying, Brent. I think was it 4th and 9?
It was 4th and 8.
4th and 8.
4th and 9.
4th and 9.
I understand. And probably, by the way, they would have, if they picked up 7 yards, they might have easily gone for it. I know 4th and 9's not easy. I get it.
Yeah.
But I got to be aggressive.
I hear you.
No, not many people.
Brent's putting his coaching hat in the ring.
I'm just saying I would have done it right from the rip. Okay, Stewart's been hanging on the line. We got to get Stewart. Here's my give me one thing, really.
Yeah.
Stewart, what's up?
What's happening?
Sorry, I was going to get to you eventually.
I know where we're going. Yeah, I saw it.
Did you hear the golf club story?
I did. I saw it on Twitter.
Tell us the golf club story, Stewart. I'm bringing you in. Phone a friend from a give me one thing from the weekend. This is awesome.
Closer from the bullpen here to provide a little story time on ESPN 690. And in this case, it revolves around the central figure, Sean, early candidate for Person of the Year 2021. Sean was at a pawn shop to try and buy a pressure washer. You know, you want to improve some things around the house. For him, it was a pressure washer. As he's doing this shopping, he notices 3 young gentlemen come in with a set of golf clubs, and they try and sell said golf clubs to this pawn shop, but little did they know, or unfortunately it didn't work out for them, the fact that pawn shops will not buy golf clubs from people because more than likely those golf clubs are stolen, as they were in this scenario. So in this case, Sean realizes that and kind of understands, hey, these don't belong to these guys. What's going on here? So he follows them out into the parking lot to see if he can make a deal with them for the golf clubs. And he does just that. He's able to buy this set of golf clubs for $40 from these guys, which if anyone knows,
good deal.
If anyone knows golf clubs, I mean, $40 is that's a pretty low price for an entire set of golf clubs, certainly, especially had they looked inside the set and seen what clubs were in there. Anyhow, while doing that, you realize the fact that they took $40 because, in fact, they had stolen those golf clubs a year and a half ago. And my guess is they've been sitting around and haven't been able to do anything with them for a year and a half. Why do I know this, you say? Well, that's because they were my golf clubs, and they were stolen from my garage a year and a half ago. So, yeah, there's that. So Sean buys these golf clubs from these young miscreants in the parking lot for $40, finds my bag tag inside, which you think they would have checked inside and seen the name in there and thrown that out to prevent anything from getting back to it? No, they didn't do that. Anyhow, found my name in there, sent me an email, met up with me yesterday, and returned the golf clubs in an act of goodwill that will go down as one of the best of 2021.
By the way, those golf clubs they still have the Scotty Cameron putter in them.
I was going to ask that question myself.
They still had a $400 putter in amongst the clubs. Yes.
How about that? You could have sold that on like eBay or whatever you sell things on now, Craigslist, for probably a couple $100. One last thing. Did he know you from TV? Did he know where to find you? How did he find you?
My guess is he Googled me and saw my name pop up with an email address for Action News because it was the work email that he sent it to. And he's like, hey, you're the TV guy, right? When we met up in person. So I'm guessing that kind of has something to do with it.
That's awesome. And you gave him the $40 back, right?
I did, and he got his time to shine on television yesterday, and it's gone a little viral on the internet. So he's getting the pats on the back from everybody all around town.
That's awesome.
Good for
And
him,
by the way,
man.
we're going to send him some Dream 18 stuff too.
Enough said.
Good man.
That's awesome.
That's good. Glad you get your golf clubs back. Bring them to the Players Championship Media Day next week, and you better deliver with a putter.
Oh, the putter is already working well. Used it today.
All right. Thanks, man. Good story. Awesome stuff. Sean, you're the best. Nominee for Person of the Year.
Without a doubt.
There, we took up all your time.
It's all good, man. Hey.
You should.
I'm used to taking up UFC. Max Holloway, man.
That was
Max
awesome.
Holloway, yeah. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. How's that sound?
No, go sell him.
All right, Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway. Fight happened this past Saturday. Max Holloway landed 445 significant strikes to Calvin Kattar. Brent, that would be like me kicking and punching you 445 times. Could you imagine?
No, I couldn't.
I don't think anybody could. And Calvin Kattar didn't get knocked out. He took them all. And then he did an interview after the fight.
Oh, my God.
They interviewed him.
Live Local Loud coming up next on ESPN 690. FSU Coaches Show at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Save thousands and pay up to 50% less MSRP during the New Year's clearance event going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Pay up to 50% less and buy a pre-owned 2020 Corolla LE from just $11,881. Save on Camry and pay up to 50% less on a pre-owned 2020 Camry SE from just $17,291. How about a pre-owned 2020 RAV4 XLE from just $19,991? Pay up to 50% less at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/New Year clearance for details.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late.